Extracting World of Warcraft skills in American comics. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 151. How could there be such a shameless phoenix? Night. The crescent moon is high in the sky. Steve's veteran tavern is brightly lit, and everyone gathers here again. On the road outside, a strange scene appears. Under the street light outside the tavern, 3 figures are hanging. They are Harry, Peter and Danny. Under the illumination of the street light, the scene looks particularly strange. Uncle Kyan suggested to hang them up as punishment. When Mei Gan heard Uncle Kyan's tone, he knew that he was hung up many times when he was a child, and he always spoke with a feeling of joy and gloating. Gwen escaped. After all, she is a girl, and it is not easy to treat her like this, but she is still being scolded. Gwen is sitting obediently on a chair outside the tavern, while George and his wife are constantly attacking Gwen mentally. At this moment, Gwen would rather hang with Peter and the others. At least her ears can be quieter. Harry, I feel your skin is better than Gwen's now. I think you can pretend to be a girl if you put on women's clothes. Look, we look like 3 hanged ghosts now. It would be scary if the street lights were dim. Peter was hanging under the street light, his body swinging like a swing. Peter, shut up. You are still in the mood to talk. Harry was hanging, feeling a little ashamed. It was really embarrassing. Now he just wanted to be a transparent person quietly. Although no one else passed by the block, only the group of people they knew. It was also very shameful. Don't you know that I hang in the air every night? This is not a punishment for me at all, Peter said disdainfully. But it is a punishment for the 2 of us, Peter. Danny glared at Peter, who was swinging in the air out of boredom, and said, "It seems that I have to punish you in a different way, kid." Uncle Kyan appeared next to the street light at some point, holding the guide stick that he never left in his hand. "Master, don't, I know I was wrong." Peter's face changed when he heard Uncle Kyan's voice, and he begged for mercy. "Humph, it's too late." Uncle Kyan snorted coldly and then called Kato out of the tavern. Not long after, under the street lamp, Peter was standing on 1 foot on the ground, with his hands open. There was a bowl of water on his palms, shoulders, and head, and a stick of incense was lit under his crotch. "Humph. If a drop of water falls, you have to add an incense stick of time." Uncle Kyan snorted again. "Master, why do you put the incense under me?" Peter is not worried about the water on his body now, but only about his lower body. If he is accidentally scalded, then the happiness of the second half of his life will be gone. Thinking of this, Peter looked at Uncle Kyan with a sad face. "It's useless to look at me like this. Stand still, little chicken. You look at this guy carefully. I will give you a snack tomorrow." Uncle Kyan glared at Peter and said to the little chicken next to him, "Got it, Uncle Kyan." The little chicken's 2 big eyes lit up when he heard it. Then he folded his wings and saluted Uncle Kyan happily. Uncle Kyan nodded with satisfaction and walked towards the tavern. The little chicken watched Uncle Kyan walk into the tavern, then waved his wings and walked in front of Peter, staring at Peter with his 2 big eyes, looking quite serious. Harry and Danny, who were hanging above, looked at the long incense stick on the ground, and their faces showed a gloating look. "Little Peter, stand still and don't move your eyes." The little chicken saw Peter's eyes moving around and said in a loud voice, "That, little chicken, let's make a deal. I'll give you 2 big meals, and you spit fire to make the incense burn faster below me." Peter looked at the little chicken and said temptingly, "Huh, little Peter, do you think 2 big meals can buy me? I'm an upright fire phoenix." Although I was a little greedy for the 2 big meals, 2 meals were not enough, and I had to add more meals. Yes, how could a little chicken be greedy for my 2 big meals? I see you staring at me here, and it will consume calories. I feel sorry for you and want you to supplement your calories. Peter didn't know where he learned this trick, but the little spider had learned it badly. "Alas. Why don't you add more? You don't play by the rules. I'm waiting for you to add another meal. I'll agree to it if you add another meal." The little chicken's eyes were full of expectations, but Peter was disappointed to see that the guy only flattered him. The little chicken had to accept his flattery, but it was good to have 2 meals. You are right, my fire phoenix is such a divine beast. Since you are so sincere, I will accept the big meal, but I will never help you cheat. The little chicken kept walking in front of Peter, holding his little head high, with a very arrogant look. Peter was stunned when he heard this. This was a loss of both the wife and the army. How could there be such a shameless phoenix? Little chicken, brother chicken, if you agree, will you help me speed up the burning of incense? No. 3 meals, 3 big meals. Peter gritted his teeth and added another meal. You know, the appetite of the little chicken is enough for several people. Hearing this, the little chicken's eyes suddenly lit up, and he wondered whether he should agree now. 4 meals, I can only add this much. If you don't agree, I will wait until the incense is burned out. Peter saw that the little chicken was unmoved, and finally said, deal. The little chicken felt that he had made a lot of money tonight. An unknown transaction was going on outside, and in the tavern. Mei Gan was surrounded by a group of people. Mei, tell us where you dug the gold nugget, let us dig one too. Banner said to Mei Gan from the opposite side, and Johnny next to him nodded desperately, hoping that he could get one too. You know, he and Johnny are negative assets, and they owe Tony 2 buildings. Mei Gan stretched his face, and looked at Kato hiding in the corner with a gloomy face. Kato huddled in a corner in panic, feeling that he probably wouldn't make it tonight. Should he write a suicide note and tell her his bank card password so that Evely and Uncle Kyan wouldn't have to go to the bank again? It would be hard for Evely, and she would lose such a good boyfriend. Mei, you are so lucky, you got such a big gold nugget. Tony didn't covet that gold nugget. If he wanted it, he could buy more, but he just sighed at Mei Gan's luck. What a shitty luck, that's my skill. No more, only these 2 pieces. Mei Gan's face was full of displeasure, and he glanced at Audrey, who was listening with his ears erect. Audrey saw Mei Gan looking at her, and she quickly smiled at Mei Gan. She made a mistake this afternoon, and she had to let her man vent his anger first, and she would settle the score with him in a few days. Mei Gan glared at Audrey. The score for this afternoon hasn't been settled yet. If you want my private money, there's no way. It's really gone. Have you found it? Banner asked with regret. It's gone. Mei Gan said unhappily. It's all because of Kato's big mouth. Why didn't he find it before? What I found out in the afternoon, by the evening, everyone in the block knew that Mei Gan had 2 big gold nuggets. Even Uncle Long's neighbor in the next block knew about it. I have to teach Kato a lesson later. He's as good as an old lady in the countryside. Chapter 152 Vacation. Afternoon. The sun is shining. In a beautiful place on Skull Island, there are villas. There is a small park in front of the villa, which is connected to a beach. On the beach, a group of men are lying on lounge chairs, chatting and basking in the sun. This morning, everyone in the block took Mei Gan's teleportation array to Skull Island. After strolling around in the morning, the women went to decorate the Christmas tree, and the men were all lying on the beach, drinking wine and chatting. They all had a satisfied look on their faces. In the mountains not far away, little Sissy was sitting on King Kong's shoulders, and not far away, the brown bear was standing upright, and on its shoulders, there was also a little girl, Nora, Uncle Long's stepdaughter. On a mountain peak, a porcupine was looking up to the sky and howling. Uncle Long's stepson Ian was sitting on the porcupine, wearing a toy helmet on his head, and holding a long stick in his hand. Ian pointed the long stick forward and shouted, "Charge." Porcupine night, ha 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 ha. The 2 little girls looked at Ian on the top of the mountain and laughed happily. Ian looks so stupid, Nora said while sitting on the brown bear's shoulder and kicking her legs. That's right. Piglet doesn't look powerful at all. And he said, that big black looks more powerful. Little Sissy patted King Kong and said. King Kong heard little Sissy's praise, and a smug look appeared on his face. Then he clenched his fists and hit his chest, opened his bloody mouth and roared. Wow. Big Black, you are awesome. Little Sissy laughed excitedly. The brown bear not far away also roared. Hee ha 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 ha. The laughter of the children continued to resound among the mountains. Everyone on the beach couldn't help but smile as they listened to the laughter. The carefree laughter of children always infects adults and makes people feel happy. On the rocky beach not far away, Gwen was picking up conches and crabs with Peter, Harry, Danny and Nora's sister Fallon. Since Peter and Harry were punished, these guys have behaved very well. Look, Peter, there is a big bison over there. Suddenly, Harry pointed to the grass not far away. A huge bison was eating grass leisurely, and it was not afraid of people at all. It didn't run away when it saw people. Cool, Peter said perfunctorily. There are 3 huge animals there, and there is only one bison. What's so surprising? Do you think we will become so big if we live here? Harry asked a few people. No, I heard from many that there are indigenous people here, and they look like us, Gwen replied. Well, I also want to be a giant. Harry felt a little regretful. Danny was the son of the devil and had superpowers. Peter, not to mention, only Gwen and he didn't have superpowers. He envied Peter very much. If he could grow so huge, it would be a kind of ability. Don't think about it, Harry, let's go find crabs. Peter hugged Harry and walked not far away. I never thought I would come to such a magical place. Thanks. Bob Fallon sat on a big rock, talking to himself, and seemed to be talking to Danny. Then you have to thank Bob very much, Fallon. Of course, Fallon replied with a smile. On the recliner, Mei Gan picked up a glass of red wine on the table next to him and drank it with enjoyment. Mei, I think we should build a passage, otherwise it would be bad if we have to trouble you every time we want to come here for vacation, and flying here always has to pass through the storm, which is too dangerous at this time. Tony suddenly spoke. You make sense. Mei Gan nodded and agreed. Mei Gan thought about it, searched in the system space, and took out a 2-meter high box from the space. I don't know what the box is full of. Looking at the sunken beach, you can tell that it is full of things. Mei, this is? Tony asked Mei Gan. Teleportation scrolls. This box is full of them, Mei Gan said. Teleportation scrolls. One scroll can be used 3 times, and each time the system extracts. The system extracts in groups. A group has 10, which means a group can be used 30 times. So many have been extracted in the past few years, at least hundreds of them. Teleportation scrolls? Steve asked with some confusion. Each teleportation scroll can be used 3 times. I will put the scrolls in this box with Uncle Khan. If you want to come here, just take a teleportation scroll and recite the place you want to go in your mind, Mei Gan explained. This is a good thing. You don't need to take a plane next time you go on a business trip, and there is no danger. Tony's eyes lit up when he heard this. This is not a tool for you to go home. This is something to go back to the base. Mei Gan glanced at Tony and said, don't be stingy. Mei, at most I will provide the materials for you next time you make it, and I will give you some labor fees. How about that? Tony said with a wishful thinking. Don't think about it. You can't find the materials. They are gone. Mei Gan said speechlessly. He still wanted to make it himself, but the system didn't give him a way to make it. Alas. I don't know when this system will be upgraded. The progress bar is already 80%. It should be soon. That's a pity. Tony was still thinking that he only needed to bring a scroll when he went out, and he didn't need to bring any armor. He could come back directly when he encountered danger, and he could go home directly with just a thought, no matter where he went. How much time would it save? Let's talk about it after I find the materials. Mei Gan didn't say anything definite. Who knows what it will be like after the system is upgraded. In the distance, Audrey and others were walking towards this side with some fruit plates. Not long after, the girls walked to their side, put the fruit plates in their hands on the table, and then lay down on the recliners not far away. I've been an agent all my life, and I've never enjoyed such a leisurely vacation life, said Uncle Long, lying on a recliner, looking at the islands in front of him. Uncle Long, if you like, you can come here often. Just go to Uncle Khan to get the teleportation scroll, Mei Gan replied with a smile. Forget it, it's okay to come here occasionally, but I don't want to be a person who only knows how to enjoy. I can't be idle in this life. Maybe this is the fate of hard work, Uncle Long refused with a smile. What nonsense are you talking about, kid? You've retired, why can't you be idle? Do you still want to go back? Uncle Khan interrupted. No, I just want to open a restaurant to make some money. Although I have some savings, I still need income, Uncle Long replied, after putting his hands behind his head and changing his position to lie down. Bob, why don't you move into our neighborhood too? The school here is about to be built, and it will be more convenient for Nora and the others to go to school, Norman suddenly suggested to Uncle Long. Since Norman moved in, he has had a good relationship with Uncle Kyan. They are both older, and Uncle Long often visits Uncle Kyan, so they are quite familiar with each other. Here, Uncle Long and the other two immediately started talking. Next to them, Steve, Banner, and Johnny were also talking enthusiastically, while Vision was talking to George. They each had their own topic. Chapter 153 Water Element Prevents Fire. Outside the Earth. In space, a man in a spacesuit was floating outside a space station. Inside the space station, there were 4 people, 3 men and 1 woman. Not far from the space station, a golden ray was sweeping towards them. Several people in the space station were looking at the man in the spacesuit outside with a worried look. The golden cosmic ray was extremely fast, and it was close to the space station in the blink of an eye. Inside the door, a young man who looked like Steve was staring at the golden cosmic ray with a look of horror. Boom, the golden ray rushed through the space station. It made several people lose all consciousness. Skull Island. Mei Gan and the others didn't know what happened in space, and even if it happened, they wouldn't pay too much attention to it. Because it was nighttime, the villa complex was brightly lit, and it looked so conspicuous in Skull Island. If it weren't for the 3 giant beasts of King Kong, there might be many special door-to-door services of Skull Island. In the central square of the villa complex, a 5-meter high Christmas tree stood there. In front of the Christmas tree, little Sissy was playing with Nora and Ian. The happiest people on this vacation were the 3 little ones. In a 3-story building in front of the square, there was a very luxuriously decorated canteen. Everyone was busy making their own specialties. Everyone would sit together for dinner tonight to celebrate Christmas. Everyone had discussed in the afternoon that in a month, everyone would come here again to celebrate the new year together. Aunt May was the happiest person in such a lively scene, as she always wanted her home to be more lively. Soon after, the 3 little ones playing outside and Peter were called back. On the long table, plates of food were brought to the table by everyone. Everyone sat down around the long table. They began to enjoy the food they had carefully prepared. Except for one person, that was Kato, who was now held in Evelyn's arms. That's right, when Evelyn was holding him in her arms, Mei Gan cast a spell on him and turned him into a puppy, and he was still an annoying husky. Yesterday, when Kato was turned into a husky in front of Evelyn, she was not angry at all, and she excitedly picked up Kato and never let go. I like him so much. After asking Mei Gan that Kato would only stay like this for 3 days, she still felt a little regretful. Mei Gan wondered if there was something wrong with this girl. In the evening, after everyone had dinner, everyone came to the beach, and rows of fireworks were placed on the beach. Fireworks, fireworks, Daddy, hurry up and light the fireworks. Little Sissy ran to Mei Gan with a toy in her hand and kept shouting. Okay, Daddy will light the fireworks right away. Mei Gan picked up the little guy on the ground, kissed her little face and said, putting down little Sissy, Mei Gan waved his right hand, and the water column gathered on the water surface in front of him. After a few breaths, an 8-meter high water element stood there. The blue water flowed on its body, splashing water on its head. Wow, it's little blue, little Sissy shouted happily when she saw the water element. A stream of water flowed out of the water element and then slowly floated towards the little guy, circling around the little guy for a few times before returning to himself. It's just a firework. You summoned this. What is this? Tony pointed at the water element and said in surprise. Stupid godfather, this is a water element, little blue. It's very powerful. Little Sissy said with her head raised. Look, little Sissy explained it to you. Mei Gan patted Tony's shoulder. Then why did you summon this water element? To decorate it. It looks pretty. Tony touched the 2 whiskers on his nose and kept looking at the water element. Prevent fire. Right. Steve walked up and said. Yes, and you said Steve is smart. Mei Gan gave Steve a thumbs up. It's just a different way of thinking. If it were Tony, he wouldn't notice these things. For him, anything that can be solved with money is not a problem. but we are different. We have to consider more situations. Steve smiled and said, I agree with what the old man said. Tony patted Steve's back in agreement. Oh, Dad, can you stop talking? I'm so anxious. Little Sissy looked at the three people who were talking endlessly, grabbed Mei Gan's pants and shouted impatiently, Dad, light the fire right away, light it right away. Mei Gan saw that little Sissy was looking at him with puffed cheeks after she finished speaking and quickly agreed. It was a daughter. If it was a son, he probably wouldn't even pay attention. Leave things like lighting the fire to me. Johnny took over this easy task automatically. Okay, baby, we just watch. Uncle Johnny is going to light the fire, Mei Gan said while holding little Sissy. Little Sissy leaned in her father's arms, covering her ears with her two little hands. Bang! Colorful fireworks spread in the sky, lighting up the whole sky. Wow. So beautiful. Little Sissy shouted excitedly as she watched the fireworks spread in the sky. Everyone stood on the beach, watching the fireworks blooming and disappearing in the sky. Those who had girlfriends and wives were already hugging each other, leaving only a few children and Natasha. Pietro and two single dogs were alone there, looking out of place. Even Pietro's sister had hooked up with Vision. No, there was also Norman and Evely, but Norman already had a son, but he didn't have a wife. So it was still better than those two guys. And Evely was even more so. Kato was still in his arms. It was because John had gone to his friend's place and hadn't come back. Otherwise he would have to add another person. At this moment, Natasha suddenly felt that she was redundant and she wondered if she should find a man. Pietro didn't have this idea. He just felt that the fireworks were beautiful but too boring and it would be more fun to go back and play games. Well, since Pietro moved into the neighborhood, he has been working for S.H.I.E.L.D. and drinking and smoking, and the rest of the time he stays at home or in the laboratory playing games. He is a fat otaku, but he is not that fat. So recently Wanda has been increasingly disgusted with her brother who has a few extra minutes. She has already planned to live with Vision. The busiest one here is a water element. Its body has turned into several streams of water floating in the air. As long as there is a spark that does not extinguish when it falls, the water will appear there. Not long after, a row of fireworks was set off. Beautiful things are always so short-lived. Several robots brought another row of fireworks and put them in place. Johnny, let us light them this time. Johnny was about to step forward to light them, but Peter and Harry suddenly stood up and shouted, let them play. Let's go and touch them a few times. Johnny, Uncle Kyan said at this time. After that, he took Uncle Long and Norman inside. Ever since he saw Uncle Kyan and Sophie playing magic at the physiotherapy clinic last time, Johnny has fallen in love with this entertainment. He gets itchy hands if he doesn't play a few rounds a week, but he always loses all his money and plays again the next week. Facts prove that even the weakest ones can be addicted. Chapter 154, Grant. The next day, in the morning, in the garden of Skull Island Beach Park, Tony asked people to transplant many flower seeds. Although it is winter now, it is not cold at all on Skull Island. The sun is shining, and there is a breeze from time to time, which makes people feel refreshed. There are flowers of various colors in the garden, competing for beauty, attracting many butterflies and bees. Little Sissy and Nora are running in the flowers, chasing a colorful butterfly as big as a basketball. On Skull Island, it is nothing for a butterfly to be so big. Mei Gan and Audrey are sitting on a swing, watching the two little guys playing. Honey, should we find a companion for little Sissy? You see, little Sissy usually plays alone, and Nora is her only friend, Audrey suddenly said. Ah, Mei Gan turned his head and looked at Audrey beside him, a little confused. You want to have another child so soon? This little guy is less than 2 years old. Isn't it a little too fast? Let's just let it go. Then I'll throw away the box of safety products when I get back, Audrey said with a wink to Mei Gan. That's not necessary. It's too wasteful. We bought them with money. Mei Gan felt a little overwhelmed, looking at the expression of this woman. If it wasn't for the broad daylight and the little guys, she would have pounced on him. Although her kidneys and waist are fine, there is no such thing as a badly plowed field in the world. No matter what, the cows have to rest. Audrey giggled, hugged Mei Gan's arm tightly, and whispered something close to Mei Gan's ear. Mei Gan, who was very resistant, suddenly had eyes that seemed to be on fire, and then glared at Audrey. Is this a thing to say now? Why not say it at night? How can you let him stay up until night now, you cheating woman? Honey, you are so cute. Audrey ran away with a giggle, and then walked towards little Sissy. Mei Gan wanted to cry, but had no tears. He probably had to sit here for a while. It would be embarrassing to walk out like this. In the dim space, Death, dressed in a black robe, was looking at something furtively. He kept talking to himself. In front of her, a tiny space crack appeared, and on the other side of the crack was a scene that looked like an office. Their staff members were in a hurry, and they all had a badge on their chests. A few black letters, S.H.I.E.L.D, could be vaguely seen, which was the abbreviation of S.H.I.E.L.D. There it is. Death's white hand passed in front, and the crack moved horizontally to the side for a distance. A computer appeared in front. Oh my god, I don't know how to use a computer. How can I check the information of that bad guy? Death scratched his head in great annoyance. It was the man that the bad guy saved for the first time who mentioned that guy. Where can I find the information? Just then, a one-eyed black-haired man walked into the room and asked Hill, who was standing beside him, Agent Hill, what's going on over there? Sir, General Ross has been very busy recently. They may take action against Mei, Hill said with a frown. Ah, that shameless guy's name seems to be Mei. Ross is going to take action against him. What action? Kill him. Death's dark pupils suddenly lit up when he said this. If Ross kills Mei, will his soul belong to me? Wow, this Ross is really good. I have to go and see him. He is so powerful. I will be happy if his plan can't kill him. Death didn't listen to the rest of the conversation. He wiped out the crack in front of him, and then waved his white left hand again, and a new space crack appeared. Opposite it was a dim room. In the room, several screens were hung high, and on the screens, several dying old men appeared. Imma. These guys who can't even kill a chicken want to kill the man I like. Isn't this bullshit? Looking at the scene on the other side of the crack, Death was disappointed. Rose, cough, we can't wait any longer. Why haven't you done it yet? An old man with pale hair and a somewhat gloomy face on the screen said weakly. I must ensure that the plan is foolproof, so. Ross replied calmly. Enough, Ross, I'll give you another month. You must execute the plan after a month. We can't wait any longer. I don't think you want to go to the military court. One of the white-haired old men interrupted Ross's words with a gloomy face and said threateningly. Ross's face sank when he heard it, and then he replied, okay, but you must do what you promised me, otherwise I don't mind going to the target. My daughter is still on that street, don't worry, Ross, we will do it. Don't be angry, they don't have much life, so they are more anxious. The half-white-haired old man on the far left said with a white face. I hope you can do what you say. Ross was unmoved. They were all foxes, how could they not see through this? After saying that, Ross turned off the screen. In an instant, there was only a faint light in the closed room. Ross stood there, his face constantly changing. Suddenly, a huge space crack appeared in front of Ross. This sudden change interrupted Ross's thinking. Death, wearing a black robe, walked out of the crack. Two dark pupils were staring at Ross strangely, causing Ross, who was calling for help, to stop what he was doing. Mortal, you are from the military of the United States. I know you are going to deal with that magician, so I came here to help you. It was pitch black under the black hood, and the voice of Death, who could not tell whether it was a man or a woman, came out. Ross's face changed when he heard that, and he took a half step back, then asked in a stern voice, who are you? It doesn't matter who I am, you just need to know that I want the magician, so you are his enemy. I didn't expect that the magician has an enemy like you. His enemies have already turned him into ashes, haven't they? How did you survive in his hands? Ross was not panicked when he heard the other party's words. Since the other party wanted something, his life could be saved. Ah, who is his enemy? I'm his pursuer. I just want to be with him forever. If you are not the only old guy on the earth who has the courage to hit my man, I will come here. She kept complaining in her heart, but Death did not change her expression. Ross couldn't see her face, even if her face changed like a slide. You don't need to know these things. I will provide you with help, and you Death suddenly paused, and then a huge breath of death fell on Ross's body. Ross, sweating profusely and looking grim, sat on the ground. He was gritting his teeth and holding on. He felt a force brewing in his body. This mysterious guy seemed to have given him great power. Death continued, and you must kill him. If you fail, your soul will never be redeemed, and will forever suffer inhuman torture in the kingdom of death. I can give you power, but I can also take it back, including your soul, Ross. Then Death disappeared in the dim room. Chapter 155. Something romantic. In a secret room in the military area, Ross, who had recovered, hurriedly shouted, "Slow down, wait a minute." However, Death had left, and the cracks had been smoothed. This guy is a psychopath. You can't even beat the magician, but you still gave me power. Giving me power is useless. Why don't you give me other things? Even if you give power to more people, it would be good. At least I can try the group fighting tactics. Ross stood up from the ground and cursed uncharacteristically. Sure enough, guys with power are brainless, but having power is also good. Maybe I can study it well. Ross stretched out his palm, and a grey energy was rising in his palm. After closing his palm and tidying up his clothes, Ross recovered and left the room. Sir, something happened in the space station, and 5 people fainted. Just after walking out of the room, a soldier came over and said to Ross, "Take me over to have a look. The kingdom of death." In the dim space, Death pulled down his hood, revealing a delicate face. There were several mysterious black lines on his fair face, but he didn't look ugly, but rather had a unique charm. His long black hair fell down behind him, fluttering in the wind. Death sat down on the throne, kicked off his boots, revealing a pair of white jade-like feet, with purple nail polish on his toes. Purple. It seems that death is also a thing that cannot be said. Cannot be said. Imma. It's so tiring to do things properly. Don't I just want to find a man? It reminds me of that purple sweet potato. That guy said he loved me, but he was too ugly and his appearance was not good enough. But that guy has been slaughtering lives. He is really a qualified licker. Never mind. It's more fun to watch short videos. Death kept nagging, and it was obvious that she didn't talk often. She took out her pink mobile phone, then held her toes with one hand, and watched short videos with the other. It looks pretty, but it's a pity that it has a mouth and its hands can move. On Skull Island, Mei Gan and the others are standing on the highest mountain on the island. They are not here to climb the mountain, but Mei Gan wants to hide the entire Skull Island, otherwise people will find it. The others came to see how Mei Gan hides the island. "Mei, can you do it? Don't damage this beautiful island," Tony said with some doubt. This guy didn't really doubt Mei Gan, but he was just itching to say something bad about Mei Gan. "Shut up, Tony. If you have nothing to do, you can go find Potts. Don't bother me." Mei Gan rolled his eyes. "I taste Potts' mouth every day. You are so shameless." Mei Gan was defeated by Tony. He is so thick-skinned. "Tony, shut up." Tony's thick-skinned face was unbearable. Potts quickly stepped forward and pulled Tony to the back, covering his mouth and stopping him from talking. Mei Gan saw that no one was bothering him anymore, so he slowly closed his eyes. A huge amount of mental power and magic power gushed out of his body and instantly enveloped the entire Skull Island. Not long after, Mei Gan separated the entire Skull Island from the earth. Then Mei Gan pushed the entire Skull Island back dozens of kilometers to prevent the military who knew the location from coming to make trouble again. Then, Mei Gan used a stealth skill on the mountains on Skull Island. To be more secure, Mei Gan also buried several sets of shadow cloaks on the largest mountains. Originally, the shadow cloak system in the game could only be invisible at night, but now it can be invisible at any time. Invisibility is a skill that many night elf soldiers have. As long as you stand still, you can be invisible. Even if you wanted to understand, it can't move. So as long as Mei Gan's magic exists, it can stay hidden. After a while, Mei Gan opened his eyes, clapped his hands and said, "Done." Everyone was stunned. In their eyes, Mei Gan just stood there with his eyes closed for a few minutes, then clapped his hands and said, "Done." Mei Gan was joking with them, right? "Mei, are you sure you have hidden Skull Island?" Steve asked in disbelief. Of course, if you don't believe it, you can go out in a helicopter and see for yourself. Mei Gan was not annoyed by being questioned. How could mortals like them know his greatness? Why don't I believe it? Before Steve could speak, Tony jumped out and said, "It seems that you don't believe it, so I'll take you to see it." Mei Gan ignored Tony and shook his head. Then, a white light flashed, and everyone disappeared on the top of the mountain. When they appeared again, they had already arrived outside Skull Island. However, when everyone looked ahead, they found that there was an endless blue ocean in front of them, and there was no storm cloud. Is this really the outside of the island, Mei? Banner asked Mei Gan in surprise. Of course, if you don't believe it, you can use Tony's satellite to scan it. Mei Gan led everyone to float in the air, and said to them, "No need, now we believe it." Steve said, "That's good, let's go back." After that, the white light flashed again, and everyone returned to the lounge chairs on the beach. Were we flying just now? Audrey, that feeling is pretty good, different from flying on a plane, Natasha said with some aftertaste. Just now, they were thinking about the island's invisibility problem, and only now remembered that they were flying just now. Everyone started talking like this, except for Mei Gan and Tony. Tony pulled Mei Gan aside, picked up a bottle of red wine on the table, poured 2 glasses, and handed Mei Gan a glass before saying, TSK Mei, you can actually be invisible. Can your invisibility prevent the machine from sensing it? Tony showed a lewd smile, and looked at Mei Gan. Tony, you have pots now, don't make any random plans, Mei Gan said with a frown. Is that how you look at me, Tony? Am I that kind of person? If I want women, I can get a lot of them with a wave of my hand. I just want to be invisible for once, and do something more romantic with pots tonight, you know. Mei Gan was shocked by Tony's idea. He had to say that this idea was really great. As expected of Mr. Stark, the former playboy, he always discovered different things from others. It seems that I have to try it with Audrey tonight. No, Tony, I'm afraid you will scare Potts to death. Mei Gan refused. Such a great idea must be tried by myself first. How can I let you be the first? Of course I have to discuss it with Potts. How can I start directly? Then the conversation between the two of them went to who knows where. From time to time, the two of them would let out a burst of obscene laughter, which made the people not far away itchy and wanted to inquire about it, but they were too embarrassed to go forward. The most curious were the men among the crowd. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 156 Dragonfly Woman. The next morning, in Mei Gan's villa on Skull Island, Mei Gan walked out of the bedroom refreshed. He had severely taught Audrey a lesson last night, since she dared to flirt with him and then ran away yesterday. I have to say that Tony has a good brain. That idea is great. I can't say anything more. If I continue to talk about it, something bad will happen. Let's see if this woman dares to tease her husband next time. If I don't shake her husband's power, she won't know why the flowers are so red. Look at her sleeping in bed now. You will know that she has learned a profound lesson. Mei Gan walked towards the kitchen with a smug look on his face. An hour later, Mei Gan had breakfast alone, and Audrey was still asleep. She hasn't woken up yet. It seems that she was too tired last night. Put the breakfast in the pot to heat it up, and Mei Gan went to Uncle Khan's place to pick up the little guy. Last night, the little guy clamored to accompany Aunt Mei. It happened that Mei Gan wanted to teach Audrey a lesson, so he asked Aunt Mei to take the little guy to her place. As soon as Mei Gan stepped into Uncle Khan's villa, he saw the little guy pulling Red Baby's tail and running wildly in the living room. Red Baby's ugly face showed a human-like look of despair. Red Baby, look at you. You are so fat. Come and run with me. Run. The little guy kept saying while running. On the sofa, the little chicken was making a kai 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 laugh. Next to him, Uncle Khan was drinking tea calmly. Dad, the little guy hurriedly shouted when he saw Mei Gan's figure. Then he rushed towards Mei Gan. Baby, what are you doing? Why are you like this? Red Baby. Mei Gan held the little guy in his arms, touched her head and said, "I'm losing weight for it. Look at it. It eats and sleeps. How fat it is, and you don't take care of it. It really makes me worry about it." The little guy shook his head and said with a tired look. Mei Gan was stunned for a moment after hearing this, then laughed and said, "It seems that a little sissy is worried sick. Let's let Red Baby go out for some exercise later." The red dragon paused when he was about to lie down, and then lay on the ground like a dead dragon, motionless. "Dad is so nice." Mei Gan glanced at the dead dragon and ignored it. A lazy dragon. It should not have been summoned in the first place. Even if the owl was summoned, it would be better than it. Although the owl has no fighting power, it can be used as a surveillance and a light bulb. "Okay, baby, do you want to go shopping with dad? Or stay here with your grandpa Khan?" Mei Gan asked her, after putting the little guy down. "I want to stay here with grandpa Khan. Dad, you go by yourself. I have to go to play with the big black guy with Nora later." The little guy shook his finger and said after thinking for a while, "Okay, then you stay here with your grandpa Khan first." Mei Gan touched her head and replied, "Uncle Khan, I'll leave the little guy to you. I'm leaving first. Let's go. Let's go. Can't an old man like me keep an eye on a child? There are only the likes of us here. And there are the big black guys here. Besides, I'm blind but not blind in my heart." Uncle Khan waved his hand impatiently. Mei Gan smiled and then walked outside. Today, he and Tony and the others will go to the place where the giant animals gather. Tony and Banner want to catch a few to study. Originally, Mei Gan wanted to ask Tony to go to the garden to catch a few large butterflies for study, so he didn't have to go so far, but that guy just didn't want to do it. In order to avoid any accidents, Tony called Mei Gan. In fact, he could handle it alone, but this guy just wanted to call everyone. Anyway, it was boring, so everyone just helped him. Today, Steve and the others were the main ones to take action. Mei Gan used to be just a bystander. Mei Gan came to the gate of the villa complex, and everyone was already waiting here. And Steve and the others were all fully armed and put on their uniforms, except Banner. Seeing that Mei Gan had arrived, everyone walked towards the woods. Soon after, everyone came to the depths of a forest. Mei Gan walked behind everyone. At this time, in Mei Gan's mental exploration, a huge dragonfly was resting on the top of a big tree not far away. The compound eyes, that were bigger than a basketball, were looking at a giant mosquito not far away. Mei Gan did not remind everyone. Not long after walking forward, everyone saw the huge dragonfly. Oh my god, what a beautiful dragonfly. The moment Natasha saw the dragonfly, her eyes lit up, and her face was full of the word want. But it was true. Who said that the dragonfly was too beautiful, and it was so lethal to female creatures? The dragonfly's body was black and red, dragging a long red tail, and 4 light yellow thin wings spread out on both sides. The dragonfly looked about 6 or 7 meters long. Perhaps it felt the arrival of everyone, and the 6 bamboo-like long legs suddenly shook. Everyone knew that the dragonfly had set its sights on them. "Mei, I want this big guy. I know you can do it, right?" Suddenly, Natasha walked to Mei Gan's side with a coquettish face, and said in a coquettish tone. The voice made people who heard it numb. "Stop, can you talk properly? I'm a married man, don't mess around." Mei Gan quickly pushed Natasha away a little, suppressing the throbbing in his heart. Mei Gan felt that, if he didn't stay away from the widow, he would probably make a mistake. Is it true that all women have the skill of being coquettish? Is there any? No wonder there is a saying that heroes are hard to resist beautiful women. People can't stand this trick. Besides, your name is Black Widow, and if you want to catch something, you should catch a spider for you to ride on. How can it be a dragonfly? Dragonfly may be suitable for Steve. At least he can be called Captain Dragonfly. What will you call yourself when you ride on a dragonfly? Dragonfly Widow, Dragonfly Lady. Just tell me, do you agree to let me catch this dragonfly? At this moment, Natasha seemed to be possessed by the green tea, and flexibly applied their skills to Mei Gan. That tone, that demeanor, is really irresistible. No wonder many people like green tea, and are willing to be licking dogs. Catch it, I'll catch it for you as a pet. Mei Gan surrendered. He couldn't stand the guy's tone, so he got rid of him quickly and caught it for you. It depends on whether you can afford to raise it. Humph. Such a big dragonfly. How much money will it cost for food every day? Eat you out of money. Several people nearby watched the conversation between the two. Even Wanda wanted to run up and act coquettishly to Mei Gan. If Vision hadn't been here, she would have run up. Who doesn't want such a beautiful pet and can also be used as a mount? Not to mention Wanda. Even the other men are a little tempted. How come they are men? If it were a woman, maybe she could act coquettishly to Mei Gan and get a beautiful mount. Envy, jealousy, and hatred. Mei Gan got rid of Natasha's entanglement and walked towards the place where the dragonfly was. The dragonfly on the treetop was also getting ready to move. You know, dragonflies are carnivorous insects. Ordinary dragonflies are fine. They just eat mosquitoes, flies, and leaves. The one in front of everyone was so huge, and no one knew if it was interested in everyone. Did it want to attack, or just want to taste them? Chapter 157. I sell myself to you. In the woods, Mei Gan walked to a place not far from the dragonfly. The red dragonfly turned its body around, and its four thin wings vibrated slightly, as if it wanted to attack Mei Gan. Mei Gan smiled slightly. He directly used the neutral hero Dark Ranger skill talisman on the dragonfly. This is a control skill that can directly control a unit weaker than Mei Gan. For Mei Gan, it can directly control any creature in Marvel. Mei Gan has not used this skill since he drew it. The main reason is that Mei Gan does not want to control anyone and does not want to recruit subordinates. He is lazy. He has several pets and he can't change them all as mounts in a week, so there is no need. Mei Gan waved his right hand at the dragonfly and blue lights bloomed above her head, intertwined, and then suddenly rushed into the dragonfly's body. Suddenly, the dragonfly's whole body shook. Then the dragonfly looked at Mei Gan for a while, flapped its forewings, and flew towards Mei Gan. The dragonfly stopped in front of Mei Gan and touched Mei Gan with its bamboo-like front feet. Okay, everyone, you will follow that woman from now on. Her orders are my orders. Do you understand? Mei Gan patted its head and said. The dragonfly looked at Natasha with its red compound eyes and then nodded humanely. It slowly walked to Natasha's side and rubbed her body. Natasha hugged the dragonfly's head with a happy face, and a flower smiled directly on her face. Remember, you owe me a mount. Remember to pay the bill when you go back, Mei Gan said, after squinting at Natasha. Don't think that you don't have to pay, because you are a beauty. Natasha looked at Mei Gan a little aggrieved when she heard it. Why? Don't think that you don't have to pay, because you are a beauty. You can give me the salary card. I will take it out directly after the salary is paid and return it to you after deducting it. By the way, how much is your salary at S.H.I.E.L.D? Mei Gan acted like a brother settling accounts. Everyone felt balanced when they heard it. Wanda was already scared. If she really asked Mei to catch her mount, she would have to work until she was old. She would not have to make a living in the future and would just work for Mei Gan and Tony. Everyone ignored the two and continued to walk forward while Mei Gan and Natasha were hanging behind them. Mei, I don't want it anymore, okay? Natasha looked at the red dragonfly beside her reluctantly and then whispered. That won't work. Once the goods are sold, they will not be returned. If you didn't want it, I wouldn't waste my magic power to capture it. I have many pets. I don't need this one. Mei Gan looked at the dragonfly with disdain. Then I don't have money, Natasha said aggrievedly. Then the style of the painting changed. The expression on her face changed. She licked her lips sexily, threw a wink to Mei Gan and said again, or, I will sell myself to you. Mei Gan looked at Natasha with wide eyes and said in disbelief, you are so calculating. Not only do you want me to help you catch the mount, but you also want my people and property. Natasha, I can't imagine you are such a person. A look of loss flashed in her eyes and soon disappeared. Then, Natasha spit at Mei Gan. Natasha, I will teach you a way. You go back and call Ludan and ask him to pay, just like Steve's weapon, Mei Gan said in a low voice. Natasha's eyes lit up when she heard the words, and a flower-like smile appeared on her face again. Mei, I feel that one day Nick will be emptied by you. You are such a greedy guy. Natasha looked at Mei Gan speechlessly. He is already worth billions. If he gets the chance, he will cheat Nick. Nick mourned for a few seconds. You agree with this proposal, don't you? Mei Gan said with a mercenary smile on his face. Money? Who would complain about not having enough money? This is a bastard who thinks the more the better. Not long after, everyone joined forces to catch several large insects and animals from the woods. Among them was a rabbit that looked like an elephant. Mei Gan swallowed his saliva unconsciously. The meat should be delicious. In the end, he didn't eat it because Tony and Banner dissected it in the laboratory for the last 3 days, which made Mei Gan lose his appetite. The two of them stayed in the laboratory for 3 days, while Mei Gan and his group went out fishing for 3 days. On the last day, King Khan caught a giant squid from the water, and the taste of the grilled squid made everyone linger. Tony and his group didn't have this good fortune. 3 days later, the neighborhood. A flash of white light passed, and the figures of the crowd appeared beside the turret. At this moment, Adam and Eve, two huskies, rushed out excitedly, and their heads flush with Mei Gan's body came close to him, stretching out their long tongues, and licking Mei Gan's head non-stop. Stop, 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 put away your disgusting saliva. Mei Gan wiped his face with his sleeve in disgust, and suddenly felt that he was not clean. Woo woo. Being looked at by Mei Gan's disgusted eyes, the two shadow wolves whimpered a little sadly, lowered their big heads, and gently touched Mei Gan. Okay, go find Norman. Look, he feeds you every day, why don't you get close to him? Norman won't give you food when the time comes. Mei Gan patted the heads of the two beasts and said softly, woo woo. The two beasts looked at Mei Gan after hearing this, and then rushed to Norman's side, constantly nudging Norman's body with their heads. Good boy Norman, who had just looked envious, now had a smile on his face and happily stroked the necks of the two beasts. That action, that expression, was like touching two peerless beauties. Everyone shuddered at the sight. Tony, who was holding the little chicken, looked at Norman and shook his head. Why did he like these two huskies? The phoenix was still handsome, could fly, and was beautiful, but her appetite was a little bit bigger, but that was not a problem. Since Tony paid for the little chicken's meals, the man and the beast had formed a deep friendship. The little chicken often visited Tony. This guy was smart. He knew that Tony's family had a lot of snacks, so he ran to Tony when he was not full, and ran to Tony when he was greedy. Tony was not angry, but was happy to see the little chicken come to his house, and specially prepared a lot of snacks for this. He also fantasized about riding a phoenix, to fly in the sky one day. He glanced at Natasha, who was cultivating feelings with the dragonfly with some envy. Natasha, where are you going to keep this big guy? Steve asked. Natasha was confused by this question. Natasha looked at her house, and then looked at the densely packed houses on the block, and was suddenly in trouble. What's the point of tangling about this? Either keep it in S.H.I.E.L.D. or keep it in the park and build a shed for it. Mei Gan interrupted. Keep it in the park. I don't want my baby to have blood drawn every day. Nick will definitely do it. Natasha knew which method was better without thinking. It's up to you. If you keep it here, the food expenses will cost a lot of money. Keeping it in S.H.I.E.L.D. at least you don't have to spend money. Oh, this. Natasha was tangled again. Staring with two beautiful eyes, she was stunned. Natasha, food is easy to handle. I'll ask someone to bring an extra portion of food here in the future. Anyway, we have to give it to Adam and Eve every day, said the capitalist Norman at this time. Thank you so much, Norman, Natasha said in surprise. You're welcome. Chapter 158. I finally know why you don't have a girlfriend. Wait, Agent Romanoff, say it again. Ludin sat in his office and looked at Natasha opposite in disbelief and shouted, Sir, I asked Mei to help me catch a mount. I have no money, so I have to ask you to pay. Natasha said confidently. Yeah. Justified. This is what Steve taught her. Anyway, it is also to enhance the strength of S.H.I.E.L.D. So Steve said there is no need to weaken his momentum. Natasha felt that Steve had changed since he met Mei Gan. Although she didn't know the captain very well before, she still had an image of him in her mind. Fuck, Mei is here to rob again. Agent Romanoff, why do you want a mount when you can? Isn't it better to fight him in close combat? Nick Fury felt that his head hurt a little. Mei Gan would not give up until he emptied his safe house funds. Right. That's not what I said, sir. If it can enhance your power, why not take it? It's just a matter of money. Okay. You have to show me your mount first to see how much it's worth. Nick rubbed his head. I didn't bring it with me, but I have photos. If you don't believe me, you can ask Alexander to go to the neighborhood park. Caesar is there. Natasha took out a stack of photos and put them on Nick's desk. Nick didn't reply. He reached out and picked up the photos on the table. After taking a look at the first photo, Nick looked at Natasha with a weird look. Dragonfly. I want to know if this dragonfly can withstand your sitting on it? Natasha was a little annoyed when she heard this. Doesn't this boiled egg have any emotional intelligence at all? How can he talk like that? No wonder he can't find a girlfriend. Sir, I finally know why you don't have a girlfriend. Your appearance is only a small part of the reason. After all, no matter how ugly a person is, as long as he has money, he will not lack a girlfriend, and you are not poor. Nick, who was looking at the photo opposite, changed his face when he heard this and glared at Natasha angrily, saying something that was not relevant. Okay, I will transfer money to Audrey's account. You bring your Caesar here in a few days. I will ask someone to make a set of armor for it. You go back first. After saying that, Nick waved his hand weakly. Bye, sir, Natasha said and turned to leave. A few days later, early in the morning. Street. The Big Apple has been snowing heavily these 2 days. The sky is gloomy, and there is no sunshine. Mei Gan and the other two are sealed in bed, and don't want to get up. Although Mei Gan and the others are not afraid of the cold with their physical fitness, it's just laziness. Audrey has become much lazier since she married Mei Gan. In the past, she would often make small cookies and cakes, but now she can't make them once a month. It seems that the old saying of our ancestors that people who keep company with bad people are bad is indeed a famous saying that will last forever. 2 hours later, Mei Gan and the other two were sitting in the restaurant, and the TV on the wall was playing the news. On the TV, a brownstone man was playing a commotion on a bridge. Oh, isn't this the Ben of the Fantastic Four? Reed's friend who stole someone's girlfriend and cheated someone's company, although Dr. Doom is not a very good person either, Mei Gan said, after looking at the TV. Honey, do you know that guy? Audrey asked Mei Gan. I know him, but he doesn't know me. Mei Gan shrugged and replied. What's wrong with this world? People with superpowers keep appearing, Audrey asked with some confusion. I can't explain this clearly. Maybe I have to ask that old man, Mei Gan said, after putting down the dishes he had finished eating. Audrey rolled her eyes at Mei Gan when she heard this and kept saying something she couldn't understand. Honey, do all of you so-called masters like to play dumb? You can't talk properly at all. It's not that I won't tell you, but these things are too surprising. It's better not to know. It's up to you. Anyway, I'm not very curious. I'm going to go shopping with Betty and Wanda later, and you'll be alone at home. I'll take little Sissy with me. I wanted to call her Natasha, but who knew that she would have a dragonfly to accompany her after she got that big dragonfly, Audrey said with some dissatisfaction. Go. Mei Gan waved his hand and said. Mei Gan would not respond to this, otherwise this woman would be resentful again. Although she knew that Mei Gan was making money, she still had to eat the jealousy she should have. Not long after, Audrey cleaned up the dishes and took little Sissy and Wanda out to the mall. Mei Gan closed the door of the flower shop and then walked leisurely to the physiotherapy center opposite. The physiotherapy center has no business at all recently. For this reason, Uncle Khan directly asked someone to open up the back, change the layout inside, and prepare to move the storefront to the back door. Mei Gan no longer cared about the money earned by the physiotherapy clinic. He only took 10% of the turnover from the physiotherapy clinic every month, and the other 90% belonged to Uncle Khan and Aunt Mei. Aunt Mei did not go to her original place to work, and now she has been helping out in the physiotherapy clinic. It has become a husband and wife shop for the two of them, but Mei Gan did not care. When he came to the door of the physiotherapy clinic, he saw that the decoration inside was in full swing. After taking a look outside, Mei Gan walked towards the veteran tavern next door. The house was full of dust, so Mei Gan did not go in. It was not easy for him to not have to take care of the children and accompany his wife. Of course, he had to go to Steve's place to have a few drinks. As for whether it was at night, Mei Gan and Steve's physical fitness would have no problem drinking wine as water. Seeing that Uncle Kyan's decoration was in full swing, Steve wanted to open up the back of his house. After all, he didn't have much money, so he thought that it would be a good idea to make a little money. Anyway, the decoration team is from Norman's company, and it's free, so it's a good deal. When I walked into the pub, I saw Steve drinking with Uncle Kyan and Vision, who were doing nothing. Uncle Kyan, why didn't you go to accompany your confidants? You actually came here to drink. Mei Gan sat down next to Uncle Kyan and said, "Go away. What do you know when you have only had one woman? Women don't have to stick together. If you want skills, Uncle can teach you some." Uncle Kyan said with a look of "you don't understand." Mei Gan's face immediately fell when he heard it. "Can you not discourage others? Although I envy you very much. Ha ha ha. Mei, don't make fun of Kyan when it comes to women. He knows much more than you." Steve put a glass of wine in front of Mei Gan and said with a smile, "This old rogue, let's not talk about him." Speaking of Vision, Wanda seemed to be called back by Lu Dan yesterday. "Why didn't you go back with her?" Mei Gan asked Vision, after taking a sip of wine. "It's just a small mission, I don't need to go. She and Pietro can handle it." "Mei, have you seen the news today? Several people with special abilities have appeared." Steve suddenly interrupted. "I saw it, to be exact. 5. Mei Gan broke a peanut and threw it into his mouth and replied, 5. Then you should know what kind of people they are. Looking at today's news, it seems that the Stone Man has a sense of justice." Steve said. "How should I put it? I should understand. But we have no intersection with them now, so don't pay too much attention to them. Their abilities are not very good." "What abilities? Tell me 5 people. 1 Stone Man you have seen, a guy who uses firepower. You will probably be shocked when you see that guy, and a woman who is invisible and has energy waves. Another one is a rubber man, and the last one can metalize his body." Mei Gan introduced them to the abilities of the Fantastic Four and Victor. Doctor Doom. The power of Doctor Doom was not reflected at all in the movie, and it was changed too much. It doesn't sound good. "Anyway, we have you. Even if they want to destroy the world, we are not afraid," Steve said, after pouring Mei Gan a glass of wine. Chapter 159. Who gave them the courage? In the neighborhood tavern, Mei Gan shrugged his shoulders after hearing this. "I won't do it directly in the future. I have enough money. I will be a support nurse in the future," Mei Gan said. "What do you mean?" Steve asked with some confusion. It was indeed a bit difficult for him to understand the terms in the game. It means almost the same as doctor and logistics, the game terms on the internet. "Captain, you really should understand the internet," explained Vision next to him. "Don't embarrass an old man like me. I know the doctor. I have seen Mei treat the way he treats, but what is logistics like?" "Providing us with weapons?" Steve asked curiously like a child. "Like this," Mei Gan said, and gently waved his right hand at Steve. A ball of green light swung out from Mei Gan's hand and fell on Steve. Vision looked up and saw that Steve's body was surrounded and wrapped in a green light shield. "Vision, give him a ray." Mei Gan turned and said to Vision. Vision was stunned when he heard this and then looked at Steve with an inquiring look. Steve looked at the green light shield on his body, reached out and touched it, and then nodded. Steve believed that Mei Gan would not harm him. Seeing that Steve had no objection, Vision's mind gem on his forehead flashed with golden light, and then a golden light shot out towards Steve. Zizzy, the golden ray directly hit the green light shield, making a harsh sound, and then dissipated in the air, but it had no effect on the light shield. "Great. This way I don't have to worry about getting hurt. I can just go straight up." Steve's eyes lit up and said with joy. Sure enough, Mei would not harm him, and Mei's so-called auxiliary is really useful, isn't it? "How is it? My auxiliary is not bad. I have a lot of this kind of spells, and I will fill you up when the time comes, and you just need to start fighting directly," Mei Gan said complacently. "Very good, we can finally have a good fight. In the past, you guys could handle it in a few seconds, so leave it to us in the future." Steve patted his chest and said, "As a warrior, how can you always hide behind a magician, even though this magician is not serious?" As for how shocked he is, Hatred has the most say. Mei Gan removed the anti-magic shield on Steve, and the green one was too dazzling. It made people panic, so it was better to remove it quickly. You guys are really all here. At this time, Bucky's voice came from the door. Bucky walked into the tavern with a metal arm exposed. Bucky, didn't you go on a mission? How come you have time to come here? When Bucky sat down, Steve put a glass of wine in front of him and said, Bucky doesn't live in the neighborhood, and Tony won't sell him the house. Although he beat Bucky up, and that matter was over, Tony still didn't have any good face for Bucky. This is true. Who would give a good face to the enemy who killed his parents? Tony didn't kill him directly, which was a leniency. Bucky himself knew his own limitations, and had no intention of coming over, so he lived in the dormitory of S.H.I.E.L.D. If he is free, he will come to Steve to have a drink and chat. As soon as he is free, he comes. As an old man of the same generation as Steve, he is Steve's only friend. I just came back yesterday, and have 2 days of rest, so I thought of coming to drink with you, Bucky said after finishing the glass. Let's have a few more glasses, Steve said, and filled his glass again. By the way, Mei, I met James today. He said that the military has made a big move recently, and it seems to be against you. He just heard it accidentally, and doesn't know if it is accurate, so he asked me to remind you to be careful. Bucky suddenly thought of something, and turned to look at Mei Gan and said, James? Against me? Mei Gan was a little confused. War Machine, oh. Its tone is good friend. But are you sure the military wants to deal with me? Who gave them the courage? Mei Gan said with some amusement. Before crossing, Mei Gan watched those movies in the United States, and they all had a common feature. That is, they knew that guns and cannons were useless against those guys, but they still went straight to it. I don't know whether they should be called arrogant or stupid. I guess they are both. I don't know who it is either. However, Steve frowned beside him. He was not worried about Mei Gan's comfort. He was just afraid that the military would anger Mei Gan, and then it would be useless, even if all of them came together. It seems that he has to call Nick later, otherwise something will really happen. Steve was a little worried. This is not a joke. Don't worry, Steve, I won't be hurt. You should know my ability. Mei Gan thought Steve was worried about him, and hurriedly comforted him. I'm not worried about you, Mei. I know your ability. I'm just worried that those guys will make you angry, and then the whole Big Apple City or the whole Great America will suffer. Steve said with a serious expression. I have such a good temper, how could I be angry? At most I can just kill those culprits. Mei Gan smiled easily. I hope so. Steve said. Don't worry, Steve. It's not the same as before. Now we have Audrey and Nanzu. How can he endanger the whole world? Uncle Khan patted Steve on the shoulder and said. Steve felt relieved when he heard that. Yes, there is also little Sissy. Steve, who was in a relaxed mood, quickly poured wine for everyone. Time passed as everyone drank one glass after another. Soon it was afternoon. After the drinking party, Mei Gan went home to take a shower and washed off the smell of alcohol. Just opposite Uncle Long's house, on the second floor of the house. Behind the curtain, a camera was sticking out of the window, and inside the house, several men in plain clothes were closely monitoring Uncle Long. The target hasn't come for several days. Do we have to wait? One of the men asked. Wait, this is a task assigned by the higher-ups. We must be careful. The yellow-skinned man opposite is a former agent, and his vigilance is no less than ours. A leader-like man said in a low voice. Looking at their straight bodies and strong muscles, they are obviously from the army. The target's store is being renovated recently. He will definitely come here. We must act quickly when the time comes. The deep voice sounded again. Sir, I heard that the other party is a friend of the Ashmage. Can we really succeed? If he finds out, we... A man who looked the youngest asked uneasily next to him. Someone will deal with him. Kit, we just need to do our own thing. Don't worry. The man patted his shoulder and comforted him. But he didn't believe it himself. After hearing his comfort, the young man was relieved. Chapter 160 Operation Ross. In the evening, in a shopping mall, Audrey led a few people into a lingerie store. Audrey, didn't you say you were going to the men's clothing store? Why are you in a lingerie store? Betty asked Audrey, who seemed to be choosing lingerie in front, with some confusion. Someone is following us from behind. They should have been following us for several hours. I just found out. If I hadn't taken a closer look when I went to the bathroom just now, I wouldn't have found out. Audrey whispered to Wanda and Betty. As a retired S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, Audrey has received special training. She trained every day when she was working. If she hadn't neglected it, since she married Mei Gan, she wouldn't have found out now. Wanda just joined S.H.I.E.L.D. and just started to get in touch with these things. Otherwise, she would have found out that, although she has special abilities, she doesn't pay attention to the surroundings all the time, and she is still shopping now. Girls are fully engaged in shopping. Betty wanted to scream when she heard it, but suddenly remembered that she and others were still being followed, so she quickly covered her mouth. She couldn't help but want to look back at those people. Don't look back, Audrey whispered when she saw Betty was about to look back. Betty stopped trying to turn her head back when she heard that. What should we do now, Audrey? Wanda asked with her head down. I'll send a message to Melly and Natasha and ask them to take care of it. You guys pretend to look at the clothes, Audrey said with a smile on her face. Then she took out her mobile phone and took a photo of the sexy underwear in front of her, as if she was asking her man if he looked good, but secretly she was sending a message to Mei Gan and Natasha. However, the message was sent, but it was not sent to Mei Gan's mobile phone. Outside the mall, a container truck was parked there. In the container, 4 men in American military uniforms were looking at the display screen in front of them. Commander, a targeted message has been sent and has been intercepted, a man suddenly said at this time. See what she said? The commander asked. No, our people have been discovered by her, sir. What should we do now? Wait a minute, tell them to wait for my order. The officer took out a mobile phone and made a call. Has the target appeared over there? No, sir. A voice came from the other side. No matter, let's act. Catch the yellow-skinned agent. Got it, the officer said, and hung up the phone. Tell them to act, and if anyone stops them, kill them without mercy, the officer said with a gloomy face. Got it. In the mall, not far from the lingerie store that Audrey entered, a dozen strong men received the news and moved towards the lingerie store, holding a pistol in their hands. Audrey, they are coming, Wanda said with a gloomy face as she looked at the strong men who were gathering outside. What should we do now? Betty said in a panic. Don't worry, we have little Sissy and Wanda here. Audrey was not panicked. The little guy was carrying the artifact given by his father, and she also had a fireball. Little Sissy. Betty was a little confused. No time to explain. Betty, you hide inside first. Their target should be me and little Sissy, Audrey said. Then Audrey picked up little Sissy who was eating ice cream beside her and said to her, baby, you see there are bad guys outside. They want to hurt us. Can you protect Aunt Betty? Ah. Who are they? Why do they want to hurt us? Let me take out the treasure given by my dad and beat them up. Little Sissy, who was eating with great relish, heard the words and patted the small backpack on her chest, revealing a fierce expression. The bad guys are there. Mom and your Aunt Wanda will take care of it. You go to the back with Aunt Betty. Okay, take Aunt Betty to the car to wait for Mom when you have a chance, okay? Don't worry, Mom, I will protect Aunt Betty. The little guy patted his chest and shouted. Baby is great. Audrey kissed the little guy's face and then put the little guy on the ground. As soon as the little guy got to the ground, he ran to Betty behind him. Audrey, on the other hand, pulled out the fireball from her chest. As soon as the fireball appeared, it floated beside Audrey, and fiery red light circulated on it, dazzling and eye-catching. Wanda, we must make a quick decision and leave here as soon as possible, Audrey said with a serious expression. She knew that these people came here to deal with her and little Sissy. As for the purpose of arresting her and her daughter, she knew it was for the man behind her. Okay, Wanda walked forward a few steps, looked at the man in a suit in front of her, nodded and said. At this time, more than a dozen men had already arrived at the door of the lingerie store. Looking at the fireball floating beside Audrey, more than a dozen people had a look of vigilance on their faces. The customers and shopping guides in the store noticed the movement at the door, and after seeing the pistols in their hands, they shouted, and then frantically looked for cover to hide themselves. Miss Audrey, our boss wants to invite you to come over. We hope you can cooperate, and don't let us do anything A man in a suit who looked like a leader looked at Audrey and said, "Am I stupid? Don't talk nonsense. Let these innocent people go first." Audrey looked at the dozen people with caution. If it weren't for these innocent people, she would have probably taken action directly. "If you cooperate obediently, then I can let them go. Otherwise, the guns in our hands may go off accidentally," the leading man said with a ferocious smile. The fierce murderous intent in his eyes had already swept over the hiding guests and shopping guides, and several people beside him had already pointed their guns at those innocent civilians. Hearing the man's words, the hiding guests and shopping guides who had no time to hide looked at Audrey and the others with expectant eyes, and they prayed in their hearts that Audrey and the others would agree to the man. And the man looked at them with a look of peace in his heart. Audrey's face showed resentment. Damn it, since he threatened them with innocent civilians. She looked at the guests who were staring at her and Wanda, and countless thoughts flashed through her mind. She really didn't care about their lives. However, she couldn't. After all, it was she and others who implicated them. Wanda's heart was also rising with anger, but she suppressed her anger and was looking for a good opportunity to take action. "Who are you?" Audrey clenched her fists and asked with gritted teeth. "As long as you go with us, you will know, but don't delay anymore. Give me an answer within 10 seconds. Miss Audrey." The man stared at Audrey with a serious face. "Damn it." Audrey cursed inwardly. "Oh my ice cream." At this moment, the little guy's voice came, attracting everyone's attention. At the same time, Wanda waved her hands, and the red light passed through the hands of more than a dozen men, as if she wanted to knock the pistols out of their hands. However, her plan failed. Just as the red light was about to fall on the hands of the dozen people, a dark energy passed by quickly and dispersed all the red energy in the air. Chapter 161. No one told me his child was so vicious. At the same time, outside Uncle Long's house, Uncle Long was playing with Nora in the hall. Boom, the sound of explosions rang out, and Uncle Long's door was blown open. Then, 5 or 6 tall men with guns rushed into the hall, pointing their guns behind the sofa. At the moment of the explosion, Uncle Long had already taken Nora to hide behind the sofa, but it was useless. Uncle Long was still unarmed and with a child, and he couldn't face 5 or 6 guns, some of which were submachine guns. Uncle Long had to pull Nora behind him, then stood up with his hands raised. "Who are you?" Uncle Long looked at them warily. "Take him away." No one replied, and one of the leaders said to several men. Then several people tied up Uncle Long and Nora. Looking at Uncle Long and Nora who had been taken to the car, the leader said to the headset, "Commander, we have taken care of this side, and now we will take them to the secret place. Well done. Be careful on the road." "Got it." After saying that, the man walked into the car. But he didn't see that in front of the car, a blind man with a guide stick was slowly approaching them. The pale eyes were staring at them closely. Weird and scary. In the mall. Seeing her attack being knocked back, Wanda was shocked and looked to the side with caution. There were chaotic footsteps. A man in a black suit brought a group of fully armed people to the side of the dozen men in black. "General Ross." It's you. Audrey recognized Ross and had seen Ross when she was in S.H.I.E.L.D. "Yes, it's me. You should know the purpose of my invitation, Agent Audrey." "Oh, no, you are no longer an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Ross replied. "Your military wants to deal with Mei. Do you know how many people will be killed?" Audrey questioned. "This is not your business, Miss Audrey. You don't have to delay any longer. If you don't want them to be implicated by you, then follow me now, otherwise I will start killing people directly," Ross said with a serious expression. "You are soldiers protecting the people of the United States, but you actually pointed your guns at them. You are really good." Wanda was disappointed with these soldiers of the United States. "Do it, don't drag it on." Ross ignored Wanda's words and said directly to his subordinates. Hearing Ross's order, the fully armed soldiers standing next to them immediately pointed their guns at the two and approached them. "Father, why are you doing this?" At this time, Betty walked out from the back and looked at her father with disappointment. "Betty, why are you here?" Ross saw his daughter there, and a trace of helplessness flashed in his eyes, and then he was suppressed. "This is not your business. Leave here. I will explain to you later," Ross said to Betty. "I'm very disappointed in you, Father. You've done that to Banner, and now you've pointed your gun at Audrey and Wanda. You're such a dedicated soldier. Otherwise, why don't you take me back too? Betty walked in front of Audrey and Wanda, stretched out her hands, and said to her father, "Betty, you'll understand later. Take Betty away. Be careful not to hurt her." Hearing this, the two soldiers hurried forward and stretched out their hands to pull Betty away. However, at this moment, a petite figure flashed by. Bang bang. Two sounds rang out, and the two soldiers who were stretching out their hands flew out directly and then fell directly out of the lingerie store. Ada, if you want to hurt Aunt Betty, you must first ask me, the superhero Princess Sissy. The petite figure of little Sissy appeared in front of Betty, wearing a crown, a magic immunity necklace and a dodge amulet on her chest, a mysterious belt around her waist, a pair of acceleration gloves on her hands, and two protective rings on her wrists, were swinging with her hands. The ancient axe was being held in the hands of little Sissy. This is really fully armed. I'm afraid that even Death himself would not be able to deal with the little guy, let alone Ross, a supporting role given power by Death. Ross and his men were staring at the little Sissy in front of them with wide eyes, unable to understand why such a young child could have such strength and speed. What happened to Electro that day was suppressed by Nick, so Ross didn't know about little Sissy's situation. He was afraid that someone would have ideas about little Sissy. Even the suspicious guy, Ludan, was captured by little Sissy. He subconsciously wanted to protect the little guy, and perhaps he was also worried about the situation of Mei Gan going crazy. Such a cute little Sissy must be allowed to grow up happily, so that she can become the daughter-in-law of their S.H.I.E.L.D. That's what Ludan thought. It's a bit contradictory, isn't it? No contradiction. You bad guys, I'm going to beat you up, the little guy said in a baby voice, and the ancient battle axe in his hand was still swinging in his hand. Ross opened his hands, and the dark death energy was temporarily placed in his hands, like a blooming black lotus. It kept spinning in his palm. Little Sissy, be careful. Betty, who always paid attention to her father, saw the movements in his hands. She didn't have time to think about how her father got superpowers, and hurriedly reminded little Sissy. As soon as Betty's voice fell, the death energy in Ross's hand had been thrown towards little Sissy. The death energy drew a dark arc, surpassing the speed of the bullet, and fell towards little Sissy. Oh. Don't worry, Aunt Betty, I'm very powerful. Little Sissy, who was turning her head to look at Betty, was hit by the death power before she could react, causing her to unconsciously let out an ouch. A flash of light flashed across little Sissy's body, and the death energy dissipated beside her. The magic immune necklace worked again. Look. The treasure my dad gave me is very powerful. Little Sissy raised her head proudly and said. After all, she was a child, and she would always want to show off to others. What are you looking at? Go and catch those people. Ross pointed at the customers and the shopping guides in the store, and ordered her to collect them. Then, he waved his hands continuously, and the dark death power emerged from his hands, like a thick black rope winding towards little Sissy. Baby, save him quickly, leave him to mommy. Seeing that the soldiers were going to capture the people, to threaten herself and others, Audrey pulled Betty behind her, and shouted to little Sissy. Without stopping the movement of his hands, a fireball floated out from the flame ball next to him, and crashed into the death energy. When little Sissy heard her mother's words, her small figure disappeared from the spot. Then, bang bang, bang crash. One after another sound rang out, and in a few seconds, Ross's men were like being hit by a high-speed truck. They broke the glass outside the door, and flew out of the lingerie store one by one. Then, they fainted on the ground outside the door, following the footsteps of the two soldiers at the beginning. Ross took a few steps back, and looked at the little guy in front of him with horror. Although little Sissy's body was short, in his eyes, it was clearly a giant beast stronger than Hulk. Why didn't anyone tell me that his child was so cruel? Ross swallowed his saliva, and cursed the man in black that day in his heart. The energy you gave was not reliable at all. Chapter 162 How can a blind man dodge bullets? At the door of Uncle Long's house, the soldier who was about to start the car saw a Chinese holding a guide stick blocking their car. Sir, there is a blind man in front. I will help him away, the soldier said to the leader behind him. He seemed to be quite polite and caring. The leader said without raising his head, go. Don't wait. he suddenly thought that the original target was a blind man. Looking up, it was indeed the target. It's the target at the beginning. Get off the car and take him down, the leader said with a look of surprise on his face. It's true that if there is a road to heaven, you don't take it, and there is no door to hell, you break in. Uncle Long in the car also saw Uncle Kyan's figure, and his mouth that was stuffed made bursts of humming sounds. The car door opened, and 6 or 7 people got out of the car, raising their guns at Uncle Kyan. Uncle Kyan was still walking towards them slowly. The guide stick in his hand was tapping the ground in front of him. Catch him. After the leader got off the car, the joy on his face did not fade. Originally, if they only caught the retired agent, their credit would be halved. However, now the target is delivered directly to the door. Isn't this a great credit? How can he not be surprised? Hearing the order from their superiors, several men hurriedly approached Uncle Kyan. They didn't know that Uncle Kyan was a martial artist and thought they were just catching an ordinary blind man. Several people were very relaxed. However, just when they were within 1 meter of Uncle Kyan's figure suddenly disappeared in front of them. Before they could react, they felt a heavy blow on the back of their heads. They all blacked out, and then they didn't know what happened. Bang bang bang, the sound of Uncle Kyan's guide stick hitting several people rang out. Then they fell to the ground one after another and lost consciousness. Fuck. The leader was a little frightened by Uncle Kyan's terrifying skills. The surprise on his face immediately turned into panic. He quickly took out the pistol from the holster and shot Uncle Kyan several times. Bang, bang, bang. Uncle Kyan's body shook slightly and dodged the bullets that were shot at him. How is it possible? The leader couldn't believe it. How could a blind man dodge the bullets? His body involuntarily retreated backwards. Can you run away? Uncle Kyan sneered, and his body disappeared again, rushing towards the leader. The guide stick in his right hand passed in front of him, and the guide stick hit the leader's wrist holding the pistol. Catcher. The bone of the wrist was directly broken by Uncle Kyan. Uncle Kyan took advantage of the situation and the guide stick in his hand fell on his knees. Catcher. The bone on the knee also followed the footsteps of the wrist. Only then did the leader feel the pain of the broken bones, and he fell to the ground. The screams resounded throughout the street. Uncle Kyan stood in front of him and smashed his other wrist with his guide stick again, then ignored the leader and walked into the car. After a while, Uncle Kyan untied Uncle Long and Nora and took them out of the car. Brother Kyan, these guys should be military people, but why do they want to catch us? And his main target is you. Have you offended them? Uncle Long looked at these well-equipped American soldiers and said to Uncle Kyan, they caught us to deal with Mei Gan, the brat. I guess the military has been coveting the ability of that brat for a long time. Uncle Kyan immediately thought of the key point. We should remind Zio Kyan. But if they want to threaten Zio Kyan, what's the point of catching us? The best way should be to catch Audrey and her daughter. Not good. Uncle Long said, and suddenly felt the seriousness of the matter. Not good. Uncle Kyan just took out his phone to listen to Uncle Long's analysis and immediately worried about the safety of S.H.I.E.L.D and the others. The two spoke almost at the same time. At this moment, boom, or thunder that resounded through the eardrums burst above their heads, making the 3 of them shake their heads. This is... Never mind, I'll call the brat first. Uncle Kyan ignored the thunder, and S.H.I.E.L.D was more important. In the street, in the flower shop, Mei Gan, who was lying on the sofa playing a mobile game, suddenly frowned. Why did S.H.I.E.L.D play with the artifact again? Didn't I tell her not to take it out casually? This kind of thing has happened many times since the day of the Electric Man. Mei Gan has also told the little girl several times, but she didn't listen, no matter what he said. Seeing that she was playing in the street, he didn't say anything. But why did she play in the mall this time? Could something have happened? Mei Gan's thoughts fell, and the huge mental power had already extended in the direction of S.H.I.E.L.D. In the mall, above Rose's head, a tiny space crack appeared. On the other side of the crack was Death's Kingdom of Death. Death was still sitting on her throne, her dark pupils looking at the tiny space crack in front of her. Death didn't pay any attention to Rose, the guy she had given power to. Her eyes were always on little Sissy. This is that guy's daughter. She's so powerful and so cute. I want to hug her. If I cook that man, I'll have another daughter. Buy one get one free, and they are all top quality products. This temptation is really irresistible. Oh my goodness. Death is now greedy for little Sissy. And at this moment, Death felt a strong mental force approaching quickly. Feeling the familiar breath, Death quickly smoothed the space crack in front of him, as if he was running for his life. Looking at the space in front of him without any traces, Death patted his chest in relief. She didn't want Mei Gan to know that she was also involved in this matter. Otherwise, let alone finding a man, it would be a luxury to want to live. It's a close call. Fortunately, my hands are fast enough after being single for who knows how many years. Otherwise, I might really continue to be single. Death thought a little panicked. Street. Looking at the scene over there in the mall, Mei Gan stood up suddenly, with a raging rage on his face, and a huge amount of magic power surged around his body. Boom. A thunderbolt resounded in the sky, and the sound shook the whole Big Apple City slightly. People in the whole Big Apple City felt a buzzing in their ears, making them wonder if the end of the world has come, or if the military has dropped a nuclear weapon somewhere. In the flower shop, Mei Gan's inky black magic power rippled around him at a speed visible to the naked eye, shaking the entire space of the flower shop into cracks. Little Sissy and Audrey were Mei Gan's reverse scales. I didn't expect that someone would dare to take advantage of them. If Mei Gan hadn't asked the little guy to bring a bag of artifacts, they might have succeeded. If the two were really injured, the rain of fire would not just cover the Big Apple, but the entire Great Beauty, or even the entire Earth. At that time, even if the Great Wizard Ancient One took action, it would be useless. Plum-Kine dropped the phone in his hand and disappeared in an instant. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 163. You know nothing about power. Uncle Kine put down his phone and said to Uncle Long. No one answered the phone. Probably they have received the message. What about these guys on the ground? Uncle Long pointed to the soldiers on the ground. I'll call Tony. It's more appropriate to leave these things to him, Uncle Kine said, and then he made another call. Tony Kine, what happened? Tony asked puzzledly. This was the first time Uncle Kine called him, and he was a little curious. Someone in the military wants to deal with Zio Kine. Soldiers just attacked us. Zio is probably in trouble. If you have time, ask someone to come over here to clean up the mess. I'm going to go see Zio, Uncle Kine said directly. What? Someone wants to deal with Zio? Give me an address and I'll send someone over, Tony said and hung up the phone. Search for Guogo's whereabouts on Friday, Tony said to the empty laboratory. Sir, we can't connect to Guogo's whereabouts. The signal has been cut off. However, the last place she appeared was in 20th Shopping Mall. There is a riot going on there. Some military personnel have gone in. They are led by General Ross. Friday's voice came, and then photos of the exterior of the mall appeared in front of Tony. Okay, it seems that some people have lived too long and want to go down early. Tony's face was gloomy. Putting aside little Sissy, he and Mei Gan are the best friends among everyone. Now someone is targeting little Sissy, so he can't just stand by and watch. And if he doesn't go over, Mei Gan will start to fight, which is very scary. Think about the devil of hell who was smashed by a hammer, and the high temperature energy that appeared in the sky of the Big Apple. Steve, hurry up, go and call everyone to 20th Shopping Mall. The military is targeting little Sissy. Mei has gone there. I think we have to punish those guys, otherwise it may be terrible if Mei Gan takes action. Tony flew in the air and called Steve. Waiter, why would someone attack such a cute little Sissy? I'll be there right away. Steve shuddered when he thought of the scene of Mei Gan's anger. In the Trident, the shield, which had been hiding in the dark, has not changed at all because of Mei Gan's intervention. In Nick Fury's office, Hill and Coulson are both there. Sir, things are about to get out of hand. Steve has just been there. There is news from Alexander, Hill said to Nick with a tablet in his hand. This is a crisis. If Mei's anger cannot be calmed down, I'm afraid Carlson didn't say anything more, but Nick knew what he meant. Did Natasha go there? Nick Fury asked with a gloomy face. She has gone there. She knows what to do. She will persuade Audrey well. Carlson replied. Those idiots. Do they think they don't live long enough? Since they go to provoke little Sissy, they are a bunch of idiots. Trash. Damn it. Suddenly, Nick cursed. It seems that Nick, who always has a black face, cursed that he hated those guys in his heart. Sir, what should we do? Hill asked. Let the brothers get ready, take the equipment, start the spacecraft. We have to prepare for the worst if that guy loses control. Nick frowned and said, understood. Carlson and Hill looked at each other and replied at the same time. After that, he turned and walked outside. Carlson, you go over there too. You must convince him. Nick suddenly stopped Carlson and said, got it, sir. Carlson didn't say anything. His face calmly replied and turned to walk outside. Behind him, Nick cursed again. Fuck you. In the mall, little Sissy was beating Ross while Audrey and the others were watching from the side. And by the way, they looked at the soldiers standing on the ground. The sound of the battle axe hitting Ross kept ringing in the mall. Ross, who was transformed by death, did not die under this kind of blow, but only suffered some internal injuries. Moreover, little Sissy was originally a child and didn't dare to use too much force, so Ross was not hammered to death. At this time, white light flashed beside Audrey. Mei Gan's angry figure appeared beside Audrey. Mei Gan did not greet Audrey and the others, but just stretched out his hand, and a golden light shot out from his hand, and then directly wrapped around little Sissy who was beating Ross. Seeing Mei Gan's arrival, Audrey and the others showed joy on their faces. Just as they were about to speak, they found Mei Gan's angry expression that had never appeared before, and Audrey and the others did not dare to say anything. Mei Gan exerted a little force with his hand, and little Sissy was pulled into Mei Gan's arms. Oh, who is it? I'm still beating the bad guys. Ah. Dad. The little guy was very unhappy when he was pulled away at first. He turned around to see who was making trouble, but found that it was Mei Gan, and hurriedly shouted with joy. Okay, baby, you go to mommy, and leave this to daddy. Mei Gan smiled, and said to the little guy, yeah. The little guy nodded, then wiped the non-existent sweat from his head, and then ran directly to Audrey. Mei Gan saw that the little guy had left, and the smile on his face had disappeared, replaced by a cold murderous look. Mei Gan walked slowly towards Ross. Behind him, Betty's face showed a trace of pity. After all, he was her father, the father who gave birth to her and raised her. Although little Sissy had just beaten Ross up, little Sissy was still a child, and she would not kill people. Just look at the fainted soldiers on the ground. This time, Mei Gan did it himself. She wanted to beg for mercy, but she didn't know what reason to use to beg for a villain who tried to hurt his wife and children. Betty had to turn around, cover her face with her hands and squat down. She chose to avoid it, as if there had never been such a father. Although this was a bit cruel. Not far away, Mei Gan had walked to Ross's side, looking down at Ross who was struggling to stand up. Mei Gan stretched out his hand and grabbed Ross's collar, looking at Ross with murderous eyes and said, Ross, tell me about your accomplices and the garbage behind you. Maybe I will leave you a whole body ahem. Mei, don't want to know. I won't tell you, and I won't die. You know, the nuclear bomb has been aimed at here. As long as you dare to touch me, then we will be buried together. Ahem. Ross showed a rampant smile, looking at Mei Gan unscrupulously. You are so crazy that you dare to drop a nuclear bomb on the Big Apple City. Ahem. Why don't you dare? Are you afraid? If you are willing to tie your hands and go back with me to explain the power in your body, then. At the end of the speech, Ross cracked a happy smile. He thought they had already won. In their hearts, these superheroes are too righteous. As long as they grasp these weaknesses, they can surrender. Mei Gan was amused. You may have some misunderstandings. I'm not like Steve and the others. I don't care about the lives of people in the Big Apple. When the nuclear bomb falls, I can take people away from here and leave the earth. Moreover, you think I'm afraid of nuclear bombs. You really know nothing about power. Do you think I can't know if you don't tell me? Are you kidding me? Mei Gan cracked his mouth and showed a cruel smile. Some people have to pay the price. PS. Tomorrow is 2022. I wish all readers good health, prosperity, good luck and peace in the new year. Chapter 164 The Fantastic Four are lying on Capitol. Looking at Mei Gan's somewhat cold smile, Ross suddenly had a bad premonition. However, the gap between his strength and Mei Gan's was too big, and he had no way to escape from Mei Gan's hands. Mei Gan didn't talk too much. As soon as he thought about it, a blue light flashed in his eyes. Above Ross's head, several blue magic powers emerged, and then they rushed directly into Ross's body. Ross's body shook violently, and a blue light flashed in his eyes. Then, Ross raised his head and looked at Mei Gan, then bowed his head respectfully and called Mei Gan, "Master, very good. Ross, tell me who is behind this. I want to know which rubbish dares to attack me." Mei Gan's eyes temporarily put away the cold light, and murderous aura filled the air. "Yes, Master." Then Ross told Mei Gan all the information about the 5 capitals, including the course of the incident. Even the information about the death was told without missing a single word. The mysterious man in black robe. Mei Gan listened to Ross's description of death, a little surprised and doubtful. Where did this enemy come from? No, Mei Gan had not properly investigated the mysterious power in him since he came here. Thinking of this, Mei Gan's mental power had already probed into Ross's body, carefully examining the mysterious energy. Death. That old woman didn't go to Thanos to fall in love, but came to trouble me. Mei Gan felt the energy full of death, which was exactly the same as the energy in Death's body when he saved Coulson and Harry the last 2 times. Mei Gan would never have thought that Death had taken a fancy to Mei Gan and was ready to cook him. Now he had to deal with those capitalists first, and Death could only wait until the matter on Earth was resolved before looking for trouble with Death. Boom! Suddenly, a wall not far away suddenly exploded. Smoke filled the air, and countless pieces of fire fell. Mei Gan was not surprised, nor did he pay attention, because when the fireball hit the wall, Mei Gan already knew who had arrived. A moment later, the diffuse smoke and dust dissipated, revealing a 2-meter wide hole. In the hole, a man with flames all over his body was standing in the center. The person who came was none other than Johnny the Human Torch from the Fantastic Four, Steve's fellow brother. Johnny took a few steps forward, and the flames burning all over his body suddenly dissipated. Mei Gan ignored the Human Torch, but just walked slowly towards Audrey and the others, and behind him, Rose was following Mei Gan respectfully. As for Rose, Mei Gan wanted to kill her directly at first, but then he thought that, in order to avoid today's incident from happening again, Mei Gan had made new arrangements for Rose. Johnny the Human Torch, who was approaching Mei Gan and the others, saw Mei Gan ignoring his existence, and suddenly, the flames on Johnny's body burned again. He wanted to let the Chinese in front know how powerful he was, and not everyone could ignore the great Johnny. Even if it was the Ash Mage who was resounding throughout the world. So what? We have 4 people. 4 powerful people with special powers. Hey, you guys. Johnny the Human Torch is here. Are you just ignoring me like this? And you, Ash Mage, quickly release General Ross, or I will be rude. Mei Gan was in no mood to listen to this guy's nagging. Mei Gan kept walking and waved his left hand casually towards Johnny. A blue ice arrow suddenly appeared and then flew towards Johnny quickly. Wherever the ice arrow passed, even the empty space had been frozen into ice, and the buildings next to it were even worse. The biting coldness suddenly attacked everyone. The soldiers who were unconscious on the ground, the air they exhaled was already a piece of white frost. Bang! The ice arrow was so fast that it was about to shoot into Johnny's chest in the blink of an eye. Johnny wanted to dodge it, but the speed of the ice arrow was too fast, and he couldn't dodge it at all. It was worth watching the ice arrow hit him. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared behind Johnny. Sue, who was originally hidden there, was the White Lotus in the Fantastic Four. The invisible woman had no choice but to show up. She waved her hands forward, and a beam of energy that was invisible to the naked eye was between Johnny and the ice arrow. However, the power of the ice arrow was too strong, and the power of the invisible woman could not resist it at all. Fortunately, Johnny reacted, and a ball of fire appeared in his hand, and he blasted towards the ice arrow. Boom! The 3 energies collided, and the powerful force suddenly exploded. The shockwave generated by the explosion directly overturned Johnny and Sue, and then spread to the surroundings. The soldier lying dead on the ground was directly overturned by the shockwave for several meters. When the shockwave approached Mei Gan and others, it suddenly subsided. In front of it, a piece of magic power that was invisible to the naked eye was like a wave hitting the shockwave, and it was directly shattered not far from Mei Gan and others. Dad, why does that man look so much like Uncle Steve to me? When will Uncle Steve catch fire? He also found a mistress who looks like a bad woman. Aunt Linda will be sad. If Aunt Linda is sad, she won't secretly give the cake to little Sissy. At the end, the little guy felt that he had said something wrong, and he quickly covered his mouth. Then he secretly glanced at his mommy, as if praying that Audrey didn't hear what he just said. However, what the little guy saw was Audrey's stern eyes. Looking at his mother who was staring at him, the little guy suddenly wilted. His face was full of tangled colors, reluctance, and sadness, as if he was sad that he would never be able to taste the sweet little cake in the future. At the entrance of the cave destroyed by Johnny the Human Torch, two people appeared again. They were the remaining two of the Fantastic Four. Rubberman Fantastic Mr. Reed and Stoneman Ben. As soon as the two came in, they saw Sue and Johnny, who were struggling to stand up not far away. Reed and Ben quickly ran towards the two and helped them up. And just then outside the mall, boom, Tony drove the Mark armor down from the sky and landed on the ground. Tony saw the tanks and armored vehicles surrounding the mall at a glance. His face suddenly became ugly. I didn't expect Ross to dare to send so many soldiers privately to deal with Mei, who is supporting him behind the scenes. Mr. Stark, please don't come over here. This is a secret operation of our military. Please leave immediately. Behind Tony, a major in military uniform came forward and said, "Hey, what if I don't leave? Are you going to fire at me, soldier?" Tony said with a gloomy face. "Mr. Stark, please don't force us to use force." The major was still very tough. Of course, he knew that Tony was not easy to mess with, but who said this was his mission? He had to complete it. Boom, a steel figure suddenly fell from the sky. The person who came was Tony's good friend, War Machine Rod. "Soldier, you should go down first. You don't need to worry about this place," Rod said directly after landing. But, sir, the major saw that the person coming was Rod, and his face was a little hesitant. "No buts, this is an order, Major. I will explain to General Ross." After saying that, Rod pulled Tony towards the mall. At the same time, outside a tank, a speeding off-road vehicle suddenly braked and stopped next to a tank. Click. The four doors opened at the same time, and Steve got out of the car with Vision, Kato and Pietro. PS. Sorry everyone, I'm busy today because of guests, so the update is a bit late. There will be a second chapter later. Chapter 165. Are you sure you don't have any brothers? Steve was wearing his classic uniform, holding a shield and a broadsword. As soon as he got off the car, he rushed to the mall, ignoring the army in front of him. Strangely, no one stopped Steve and his men. Whether it was the soldiers in the tank or the soldiers standing next to the tank with guns, they had no intention of stopping Steve, who was rushing in. In Pietro's view, this was a symbol of Steve's prestige in the army, but the fact was not so. In a basement in the Big Apple, 5 old men with grey hair or completely grey hair were sitting around an oval table. If someone came in, they would find that these 5 people were the helmsmen of the most powerful families in the United States. They controlled most of the military, political, and commercial forces in the United States. They could be said to be covering the sky with one hand. However, no matter how powerful a person is, there is always a common enemy. That is, death. They were no exception. Just when they were about to face death, a news that shocked their hearts reached their ears. A Chinese living in the Big Apple holds a powerful force. If they can get this power, maybe they can live forever. They actually had the idea at that time, but Mei Gan was too powerful, which made them hesitate. They have not yet decided to take a gamble. After all, if they lose the bet, they may live several years or even decades less. However, at this moment, a more shocking news came to their ears, and this news completely made them crazy. And that news was that Mei Gan resurrected Carlson. So, on that day, they made up their minds to take this gamble. In fact, there are several ways to make them live longer, such as the dragon bones of the hand, or studying Thor's genes. But the matter of the dragon bones of the hand is too secret, and they have no news. And Thor is the prince of Asgard, and they don't want to go to war with Asgard. After all, they are a race, so they can only turn their attention to Mei Gan, a lonely man. Another important reason is that Mei Gan is a yellow race. For them, how can a yellow race be qualified to deserve this kind of energy? This kind of power can only be possessed by the white people. If they can have the power to bring the dead back to life, then the bitch death will stay away from them. Death felt very wronged. I'm not targeting only you few people. I treat all the lives in the universe equally. Why do you want to escape the call of the kingdom of death? Let's get back to the point. In the center of the oval table, a light blue projection was erected in front of the 5 people. The 5 old men were concentrating on looking at the light blue screen. I originally wanted to save the life of this playboy for Howard's sake, but he didn't know how to cherish it, so I had to kill him together. An old man with completely white hair looked at Tony, who was walking into the mall with roads on the screen, and said without any emotion, "Don't worry about the playboy. We'll just divide up the start group when the time comes. Look, the guy who performed on the stage has also gone in. We only need 2 more people before our fireworks can bloom. Guys, after this time, we will be able to live for many more years. I can't wait," said one of the pale and somewhat depressed old men. "As long as everyone is together, we can start the fire." Ha ha ha. The cheerful laughter resounded throughout the basement. And in the mall, Mei Gan and others were there. War Machine Rhodes was walking towards this side with Tony. "Little Sissy, Godfather's baby, are you hurt?" Tony asked Little Sissy as soon as he walked in on the few people. The worried look made Mei Gan on the side think that he was the godfather of the little guy, and he was the little guy's biological father. Fortunately, the little guy had Mei Gan's magic seed in his body as a witness, otherwise there might be a bloody TV series that could be broadcast for dozens of episodes. The TV show is called Who Is My Daddy Godfather? You are late. I just bravely protected Aunt Betty. Little Sissy raised her chin proudly and said, "That's a pity, but a Little Sissy is really the best." Tony quickly gave a thumbs up and praised. Of course. The little guy answered with a satisfied look. "Fuck, is that Steve? Steve actually betrayed us." Tony suddenly noticed Johnny not far away and said with a look of doubt, "Tony, I'm here. Don't recognize the wrong person." At this time, Steve's voice sounded from behind Tony. Then, Steve came forward with Kato and others. Tony turned his head to look at Steve and then looked at Johnny in surprise. Then he shouted in surprise, "Captain, are you sure you don't have any brothers? Or twin brothers?" "No, absolutely not, and even if you do, they won't be so young." Steve patted the shield in his hand with the long knife in his hand. "That's true, but he is really like you." "Steve, at least I'm not so frivolous." "I agree with this," Tony said. Steve ignored Tony and just called out with some hesitation, "Steve, you don't have to persuade me. Today, many people must die, otherwise, I won't give up." Mei Gan patted Steve's arm and then asked Audrey and the others to leave here first. A blue magic circle appeared on the ground, and then a white light flashed. Audrey and the others had disappeared from the spot, and under Mei Gan's teleportation, they had returned to the block. After they all left, Mei Gan clapped his hands and looked at Reed and the other 4 who were on guard against Mei Gan and the others. "It seems that our smart Mr. Reed has turned to capital. Since he came here to deal with me." Mei Gan raised his eyebrows and said to Reed, "I don't understand what you are talking about, Mr. Magician. I think you should go back with us. I think the military will not wrongly accuse a good person. As long as the investigation shows that you have not committed any crime, you can leave directly." Reed pretended to say that he did not understand. It seems that the smart Reed will also play dumb, just for the research funds in the hands of the capital. "You are really sad. Since you dare to attack me directly, you must also be prepared to die," Mei Gan said with a cold face. Then, Mei Gan's hand flashed, and the blue staff of Antonidas appeared in Mei Gan's hand again. The staff glowed with blue light, faint, but so clear. Not far from the seaside of the Big Apple City, on the sea, Natasha and Barton were driving a Quinjet fighter towards them. Perhaps soon, they will be able to reach the mall. Outside the mall, Two figures appeared again, and the people who came were Banner and Johnny. The two agreed to go fishing today, so they arrived the latest. They felt somewhat regretful that they came up empty-handed today, which was really embarrassing. Chapter 166 Cobra Guard. In the mall, Reed righteously persuaded Mei Gan, as if he was the embodiment of justice and a model of morality. In his words, Mei Gan was like a gangster who had committed a heinous crime, which was disgusting. Fuck, where did you four fools come from? Tony couldn't listen anymore. This guy dared to stand on the highest moral point to teach others. He, a guy who robbed someone else's fiancée and almost ruined someone else's company, you can still stand there and preach to me. Mei Gan's eyes were full of sarcasm. Reed and Sue heard the words, and their faces immediately became ugly. Sue's face was a little ugly and offended. We are really in love. And we have known each other for a long time. Don't talk nonsense. A woman who thinks that she can abandon her fiancé for a little thing. A woman who pounces on her old love when she sees her. What qualifications do you have to say the word love? Mei Gan's disgust became even worse. On the side, Steve and others listened to Mei Gan's words and then looked at the ugly faces of the three people opposite and immediately looked at them with disgust. As for why there were three people, the stone man couldn't see their faces clearly. Mei, I'm not trying to persuade you, but I hope you won't hurt those innocent people, okay? Steve ignored the people on the opposite side and just looked at Mei Gan with some pleading. Don't worry, Steve, but those people behind the scenes must die. Mei Gan patted Steve's shoulder and said insincerely, I believe you. Steve nodded solemnly. Mei, these guys' vision pointed at the people who were about to escape from the cave. They can't escape. Vision, you guys step back first. I'll take care of them. Mei Gan interrupted Vision. Listening to Mei Gan's words, several people stepped back several steps, and just when they were about to retreat to the door, Banner and Johnny just came in from the door. He asked Kato with some doubts. Not to mention Kato and others who were explaining to the two. Since the arrival of Banner and Johnny, the troops surrounding them all suddenly retreated quickly, as if they had received some orders. They left in a hurry, as if they were running for their lives. Seeing that more and more people were coming to Mei Gan's side, the four Fantastic Four knew that they were going to leave first. Looking at the few people who were about to exit the cave, Mei Gan held the staff with both hands and stabbed the ground in front of him. Bang! A huge magical power rolled back from the cave entrance, flipping all four people in front of Mei Gan. You want to run away after pretending, have you asked me? Since you have surrendered to capital, you must accept the punishment of death. If death heard Mei Gan's words, it would probably run over happily and then directly take away the souls of the four guys and put them in the kingdom of death to torture them. The four fell to the ground, and Thunderbolt and Reed stood up suddenly. Red flames surged from the body of Johnny Thunderbolt, and Reed stretched out his hands directly, picked up a big stone from the cave entrance, and smashed it directly at Mei Gan. The invisible woman Sue disappeared from the spot, while the stone man Ben, who felt no pain, rushed directly towards Mei Gan, raising his fist that was as big as a volleyball, and hitting Mei Gan straight. Watching the actions of the four people, Mei Gan was not panicked. Holding the staff inserted into the ground with both hands, and the blue light of the staff was temporarily suspended. Silence, Mei Gan whispered. As soon as Mei Gan finished speaking, a ball of white light bloomed in the middle of the four people and spread to the surroundings. The white light passed through the Thunderbolt and several others. In an instant, the flames on the Thunderbolt dissipated, revealing his surprised face, and the hidden Sue also appeared in the same place again, with one hand reaching down, and the hand that was scratching was still squirming. He had no idea that his figure had appeared in the eyes of everyone. The white light continued to spread to the surroundings, sweeping over Reed, who was stretching out his arm, and Reed's arm suddenly retracted into his body. The light swept over the stone man Ben, and in the blink of an eye Ben turned back into a human. This accident made Ben suddenly stop in his tracks, with a look of surprise on his face. He had never wanted this so-called superpower in his heart. He just wanted to go back and live a good life with his wife. It was only because he met Reed, a treacherous guy, that he became like this. Silence. The skill of the neutral hero Dark Ranger Sylvanus Windrunner. Stop the enemy from casting magic or superpowers in an area. The duration and range of the area are determined by the host's magic output. Fuck, that woman is disgusting, Johnny cursed involuntarily. Several people looked over and nodded in agreement. On the other side, looking at the big stone that was smashing towards him, Mei Gan's eyes glowed with blue light. An ice arrow appeared directly and then directly shattered the big stone in midair. My superpower, my flame, why can't I use it? It was not until then that Thunderbolt suddenly woke up and kept clenching his fists in his hands, as if he wanted to mobilize the energy in his body. Sue, what are you doing? Reed looked at his hands, and then he saw Sue scratching, and couldn't help shouting. Reed, you can see me, I just saw everything. Hearing Reed's words, Sue's hands were stunned, and then her face turned pale, and she said in disbelief. She was crying when she spoke. She really wanted to escape from here, and go to a place where there was no one. This was going to be a social death. She really wanted to escape from the earth. She didn't want to Scratch, who asked Reed to fight with her all night last night without safety. She didn't know why she felt uncomfortable. Could it be that Reed was sick? It wasn't like this before. When she was with Victor. You look so ugly. Well, I don't want to delay any longer. I'm in a hurry to send those guys to hell. Mei Gan finished speaking. The staff in his hand burst into a brighter light. The red light lit up at the feet of the 4 people. Then, the ground suddenly cracked, and 4 red cobras more than 2 meters long sprang out from the cracks. Their huge bodies quickly wrapped around the 4 people and strangled them tightly. The red cobra opened its huge mouth. Scarlet breath permeated from the cobra's huge mouth. No, magician, you can't do this to us. We are their people. You can't do this. Seeing death in front of him, Reed couldn't help but shout out, his eyes full of fear and hatred. The other 3 people had been strangled by the red cobra, with only a few hairs on their heads flying, and there was no way to beg for mercy. Welcome to death. Fantastic Four. Mei Gan's cold voice sounded, and the huge mouth of the red giant snake opened again, and a ball of scarlet flame spurted out of its mouth, directly spraying at the 4 people who were strangled. No, Reed screamed. In the blink of an eye, the 4 people were melted by the scarlet flame sprayed by the cobra, and not even a hair was left. Cobra Guard. Skills of the Orc hero Shadow Hunter. Summons a huge, immobile Cobra Guard from underground to provide fire support for the summoner. The Cobra Guard can wrap its huge body around the enemy, or use fire with considerable damage, to attack the enemy from a distance. Chapter 167. A touch of green in the sky. Inside the mall. The huge space was silent. Behind Mei Gan, Ross' pupils shrank slightly as he watched the 4 people being engulfed and melted by the flames. Fortunately, he was now under the master's command, otherwise he might be in a worse situation. Thank you, master, thank you, Betty, Ross prayed in his heart. At the same time, outside the Big Apple, 2 fighters were flying in the sky. Eagle 1 is in place. Ouch. Eagle 2 is in place. Ouch. The pilots on the fighters said. Launch. From their ears, an old voice without a trace of emotion came. Received X to the 2 pilots received the order and pressed a red button on a dashboard. Under the fighter, 2 nuclear warheads with flames suddenly sprang out and then flew towards the center of the mall in the Big Apple, completely ignoring the people in the Big Apple. The nuclear warheads dragged extremely hot flames and blasted towards the target at a high speed. On the sea, a Quinjet fighter watched from a distance as 2 nuclear warheads flew past and headed towards the Big Apple. In the fighter plane, Natasha and Barton were watching with horror the nuclear warheads passing by not far away. Sir, someone is dropping 2 nuclear warheads on the Big Apple, Natasha said quickly into the headset. Damn it, it's those guys. How dare they? How dare they? Nick Fury's face in the office was already livid. Even his dark face couldn't cover up the livid color. Notify Stark immediately. Got it. Natasha quickly called Tony after hearing that. What's going on? Natasha. Tony's voice came a few seconds later. Tony, someone is dropping 2 nuclear bombs on you. You should leave immediately. Let me take you away. It's too late. Natasha said quickly. What? How is it possible? Tony's face changed. He said unconsciously, and then he said loudly, May, there are 2 nuclear warheads shooting towards us. We have to leave here quickly. Everyone heard the words. Their faces couldn't help but change. Those are nuclear warheads. The lethality ceiling on Earth. Everyone looked at Mei Gan anxiously. Now only Mei Gan's teleportation magic could take them away quickly. How dare they drop a nuclear bomb on the Big Apple? This is a populous Big Apple. There are more than just a few of us here. Steve's face was the ugliest. During World War II, he defended the country. He was a hero of the United States. However, now, several juniors have abandoned him, and abandoned the millions of people just to wipe out them. He now thought about why he was able to come in so easily last time when surrounded by a group of soldiers without any obstruction. Mei Gan was not anxious, but just said to everyone, I already know that the nuclear bomb has been launched. I will stop them. Don't be afraid. As soon as the voice fell, Mei Gan's figure disappeared from the spot. Will Mei abandon us and run away by herself? Pietro said with some concern. Don't talk nonsense. How could Mei abandon our comrades? Banner spoke first before Steve and Tony answered. Don't worry, Mei actually said that he can block those 2 nuclear warheads, so there must be no problem. I believe him. Steve patted Pietro's shoulder and said, let's go out and take a look. After saying that, he took the lead to walk outside. Everyone followed Tony and walked outside. As soon as they walked out of the mall, they saw Mei Gan floating in the air in front of the mall. He was still holding the blue staff in his hand. And in front of everyone, 2 nuclear bombs with long tails were coming quickly. In a secret basement outside the Big Apple. It was still those old men. Sitting on the oval wooden table in the basement. Several people were staring at the blue projection on the wooden table with nervous expressions. No one spoke, and the atmosphere was a little solemn. On the projection, the picture played was the sky, where Mei Gan was. They were waiting for the arrival of the nuclear bomb. If it succeeded, then their lifespans would be extended. If it didn't, perhaps their family would disappear from the earth. On the other side, Mei Gan stood in the sky. The breeze blew, blowing his clothes. At this moment, everyone could see 2 nuclear bombs with red tails approaching them. Everyone felt the pressure of death coming upon them. Mei Gan saw that the nuclear bomb was about to land, and he tapped the void with his staff. His figure suddenly disappeared from the spot, and when he reappeared, he was already next to the 2 nuclear bombs. He waved his right hand towards the 2 nuclear bombs, and in the blink of an eye, the 2 nuclear bombs disappeared in the air. The 2 nuclear bombs had been collected by Mei Gan into the system space. Even if they were nuclear bombs that had been launched, they would only become 2 pieces of scrap metal in the system space. Everyone on the ground was stunned. 2 nuclear bombs that could destroy the Big Apple were taken away by Mei Gan without causing any waves. Captain, you are right. As expected, Mei is so convincing, Pietro said after staring at the sky blankly and swallowing his saliva. You can always trust Mei, Tony replied with a smile. As Mei's friend, Tony was proud of it. And in the basement outside the Big Apple, several old men were also stunned. The nuclear bomb they had spent a lot of effort to launch was destroyed by Mei Gan with a wave of his hand. How could this happen? In other words, their calculations were broken just like that, without any ripples. Not even a hair of theirs was damaged. Several people swallowed their saliva. Somewhat unbelievable. They didn't dare to believe it, and didn't want to believe it. Several people looked at each other, and a trace of bitter smile appeared at the corners of their mouths. Then, several people collapsed on the backrest and closed their eyes resigned to their fate. In the air, Mei Gan put away the 2 nuclear warheads and disappeared from the spot. When he appeared again, he had come to the side of everyone. Tony called out, but he was interrupted by Mei Gan, who waved his hand and said, Tony, you don't have to say anything, leave it to me. You go and take over their industry. Tony nodded seriously. Seeing that Tony had responded, Mei Gan closed his eyes slightly and then opened them suddenly. The eyes that opened again had turned green. A strange green light filled his eyes. Mei Gan thrust the blue staff in his hand heavily into the ground. Come down. Hellfire. Mei Gan's cold voice reached everyone's ears. Everyone couldn't help but shudder. The blue light suddenly bloomed and rose above Mei Gan's body. His back was so mysterious and powerful in everyone's eyes. At this moment, meteorites with green light suddenly appeared in the sky, and then the meteorites ignited green flames, passed through the Earth's atmosphere, and fell to the ground at a high speed. A certain military district in the United States. There were many soldiers training on the playground, and the soldiers of the United States were patrolling with guns in their hands. Suddenly, a touch of green appeared in the sky. They were falling towards them. The satellite had not yet found the figure of the Hellfire, and they were about to fall to the ground. Chapter 168. You are all sinners. In a luxurious manor in Washington, luxury cars are parked in the parking lot of the manor. In the swimming pool of the manor, models with only a few pieces of cloth covering their bodies are walking among several men. On the dining table on the lawn, there are countless high-end foods, and rare wines can be seen everywhere. On the lawn, countless luxury goods are randomly placed. The extravagant style of the rich. At this moment, a green meteorite is falling towards their location. Oh my god. What is that? On the lawn, a waiter in uniform is looking at the meteorite falling in the sky with surprise. However, no one noticed his shouting. The women are trying to please those rich young men, while the men are touching the female companions beside them. They are all immersed in their own world. How can they pay attention to the words of a waiter? Is it because the beauty beside them is not attractive? Or is money not good? Seeing that no one cares about him, the waiter can only run away in fear. However, how could his speed be faster than the speed of the meteorite falling? No, the sky above the manor was covered with shadows, and the scorching air was filled. Only then did everyone realize that the sky was abnormal. Everyone in the manor looked up, and what came into their eyes was a scene that made them feel heartbroken. Everyone only had time to say one word, and the meteorite had already landed on the ground. Boom! The huge sound spread over the surrounding area for more than 10 miles, and the smoke and dust in the sky rushed into the sky. A mushroom cloud rose at the manor. Where the smoke and dust were shrouded, an unclear green light was shining. The meteorite, burning with green flames, fell on the ground like a cannonball. All the buildings on the ground were destroyed in an instant. A deep pit was left on the ground. At the edge of the pit, there was still a green flame burning. After a long time, the smoke and dust dissipated. A huge stone man made of meteorites stood up from the deep pit. The stone man was burning with green flames all over his body, and a trace of flames made the air crackle. Hellfire's meteorite arms opened to the sides, and its emerald-like palms were clenched into fists. Raw hellfire roared at the sky, and its dark pupils suddenly burst into green light. Boom! Hellfire stepped forward, and the huge force even shook the ground slightly. Since its birth, there has been an order in its consciousness to kill all life within a 10-mile radius when it lands. However, there is no life within this 10-mile radius, all destroyed by the power it carried when it landed. What should it do now? Hellfire was a little confused and stretched out his left hand to scratch his bald stone forehead. At the same time, a beach villa in Hawaii, several military districts in the United States, in an underground base. Ding ding ding! An old man stretched out his hand and tapped the phone on the table. A blue projection appeared, and Nick's black bald head appeared on the projection. Nick's eyes were full of anger, and even his dark face could not hide his ugly expression. You are all sinners, sinners of the entire United States, you rubbish, idiots. As soon as Nick's bald head appeared, he began to curse at the old men at the table. You can look at the military districts of our United States now, and then look at your family's manor. Your family has no bloodline left, not one, idiots. Now there is only a ruin, nothing left. Seeing that the old men were full of despair, Nick knew that it was useless to say anything, and cut off the signal with an ugly face. Trident. Nick sat on the back of the chair with a decadent look. In front of him, the images of the Hellfire were playing. Even 2 nuclear warheads could not threaten him. What else could be done to him? Can we only let him go unpunished? There are more than 100,000 people. Nick took out the communicator he carried with him. He didn't know whether to notify Carol. Nick, do you think Carol will be my opponent? Suddenly, Mei Gan's voice sounded in Nick's mind. Nick Fury stood up suddenly after hearing this. Mei, why are you doing this? There are hundreds of thousands of people here, Nick asked with a heavy heart. Do you think it's worthwhile to exchange more than 8 million people for hundreds of thousands of people? If you think it's not worthwhile, I can turn back time and go back to the moment when the 2 nuclear bombs were launched. At that time, I will take them away from the Big Apple. What do you think? Okay, you are right, but I want to know what you want to do, Mei. Nick was stunned for a moment and then raised the question in his mind. I have said long ago that I just want to live peacefully on Earth. I don't want anyone to come after me, but why do people always disturb my peaceful life? Mei Gan's voice was emotionless. Nick was stunned again by the question. Of course, he knew Mei Gan's request, but he never believed it. But this time, he felt the truth in Mei Gan's words. Okay, you can rest assured that I won't let those people bother you again in the future, but I think that if there are enemies coming to the Earth, you can come out to help. After all, you want to live a stable life on the Earth, and don't want the Earth to be destroyed, right? Don't worry, I will pay you. Nick could only say these. What could he do to a guy who was so powerful that he was suffocating? After deal, Mei Gan's voice never sounded again. Above the underground base outside the Big Apple City, this hellfire was the only one that landed more than 10 minutes later than the other hellfires. It was to let them see with their own eyes the consequences of their actions. The hellfire burning with green flames was like hitting an egg, directly passing through the ground layer and landing firmly in the underground base. In the base, several old men were watching the falling from their heads. Not long after, several old men who would not live long turned into ashes in advance and disappeared without a trace. Their calculations, their plans, their greed, in the end, turned into smoke in front of the powerful force, dissipated in the air, and only the ruins burning with green flames were left. And it also implicated their family descendants, who knew nothing, but were crushed to death by the hellfire. Perhaps it can be said that they were killed by their patriarch. On this day, the United States suffered the most serious blow in history. More than a dozen green monsters fell from the sky, several military districts were destroyed, and the several wealthy families hidden in the dark were slaughtered. Even the wealthy family members who were lucky enough to escape would be hunted down by the green monsters. Some monsters seemed to be able to teleport and suddenly appeared next to the wealthy members, and then they punched them down, and then they couldn't even leave their bones. This is Mei Gan directly using teleportation to send some hellfire to those guys. No one escaped, and the death toll this time reached an astonishing 100,000. Now the military strength of the United States has dropped a lot, and it is unknown how long it will take to recover. Chapter 169 S.H.I.E.L.D. This time, Mei Gan showed his muscles directly. Maybe it was because the last time the fire rain did not fall directly, so those guys thought it was just a magic show. This time, Mei Gan told those guys who were still hiding in the dark that they must not come to attack him and his relatives, otherwise the next time the hellfire landed would be where they were. After the hellfire landed, it would linger directly at the landing place for 3 days. In 3 days, the image of the hellfire should be able to spread all over the earth. This was done by Mei Gan on purpose. The powerful power still needs to be taken out for a walk, otherwise how can anyone believe that you are a strong man? Just like your brother, if you don't take it out for a walk, how can those girls believe how powerful it is? Mei Gan stood in front of everyone, and his huge mental power spread throughout the beautiful country. He controlled the hellfire to slaughter those members of the wealthy families who escaped. After a long time, Mei Gan opened his eyes. The families of the planners and participants of this incident had all been sent to hell by Mei Gan. Mei, you've got it done, Tony asked Mei Gan hurriedly after Mei Gan opened his eyes. It's done. Those who planned this operation and participated in it have gone to hell, Mei Gan replied. Okay, now it's Pot's turn. Tony was a little happy. This time the aftermath might allow Stark Group to move to a higher level. If he knew what Mei Gan did, he probably wouldn't be so happy. Although he wouldn't say anything, he would still be unhappy. Give some to Norman. After all, he is a good friend. Mei Gan patted Tony's shoulder and said, I understand. Tony patted the light bulb on his chest and said, behind Mei Gan. No one said anything. It's better for a few people to die than for everyone in the Big Apple to die. The Big Apple has more than 8 million people. If Mei couldn't stop the 2 nuclear bombs, what would happen would be unimaginable. Even the moral model Steve didn't say anything. Although he didn't know how many people died, it was estimated that there were tens of thousands of people. Besides, although he was called a moral model, he killed a lot of people when he was a soldier, and some people died unjustly in his hands. After all, this is war. and the moral model is also said to friends. Mei Gan turned and looked at Ross standing aside. Killing intent surged in his eyes, and then, the killing intent was suppressed. Thinking that this guy was still useful, it was better to keep him. Mr. Ross walked up to Mei Gan with his head down, and replied with a trembling body. Because Banner and the others were there, Mei Gan did not let Ross call him master. Enslaving humans is a bad performance everywhere, so it is better not to let people know. I have something to tell you. You come with me first, Mei Gan said, nodded to everyone, and then, with a wave of his hand, the two disappeared from the spot. For a long time, white light flashed in front of everyone. Then, Mei Gan's figure appeared in front of everyone. Everyone was still waiting for Mei Gan, and there were two more people, Natasha and Barton. Mei, thank you. Seeing Mei Gan coming, Banner grabbed Mei Gan's hand and said gratefully. Banner misunderstood and thought that Mei Gan did not kill Ross because of him, so Banner was very moved. Banner, please don't be polite. I'm not doing this for you. Mei Gan was speechless to this narcissistic guy. However, it is common sense that no one believes the truth. I understand, Mei. I understand everything. Banner held Mei Gan's hand and did not let go, and the touch on his face had not faded. You know, Jill. Mei Gan rolled his eyes speechlessly. Turning his head, he saw that everyone was looking at him and nodded. Mei Gan had to give up and let them think whatever they wanted. Let's go. Go back. Mei Gan patted his head and said, night. In the veteran tavern, everyone sat inside, looking at the center of the tavern, where a blue light screen was rising, playing what happened this afternoon. No one made a sound. This afternoon, some places in the United States were attacked by monsters, including several of our major military regions. The death toll is estimated to have reached an astonishing 100,000. People have called for the appearance of superheroes, hoping to drive away the green monsters wandering on the ruins, but they have not received any response. Many TV reporters have rushed to Superman Street. I hope those superheroes can give an answer. So, is our gate full of reporters now? I want to know when I can get out of this gate. Banner waited for the news to finish and spoke. Seeing that the atmosphere in the tavern was so weird, Banner spoke to break the quiet atmosphere. Do you want to be famous? Dr. Banner, maybe you can just walk out, and then someone will ask you questions, and then you can see you on TV, Natasha said after glancing at Banner. Don't worry, Nick will take care of it. But, May, when can you take back those greenstone men? Steve pointed to the hellfire on the projection and said, that's called hellfire, Steve. They don't have any stone men. 3 days, just 3 days, they will automatically disappear. Mei Gan responded, after taking a sip of wine. I feel like we're a bit like villains, Mei. Tony blinked and turned off the projection. I'm the villain. What kind of villain you are is none of your business. Don't forget to flatter yourself. Mei Gan glanced at Tony and said contemptuously, Mei, you make me sad. How can you say that about your comrades? Tony pretended to be a little resentful and looked at Mei Gan. Get out. Mei Gan smiled and kicked Tony away. Sure enough, Banner felt that his words to break the atmosphere were right. Otherwise everyone would still be a little afraid of Mei. Mei, you're welcome. Compared to what you did for me, it's not worth mentioning. This is a somewhat neurotic Banner. I don't know if the Hulk in his body will be like this. Seeing the pub starting to make noise, Mei Gan drank the red wine in his hand. Then, Mei Gan suddenly stopped his hand movements, smiled and called to Linda at the bar. Steve, please give us a glass of red wine. Please treat our Master Guyi to a drink. Steve was a little stunned when he heard this. Then he looked around, and then he touched his head, a little confused. At this time, a fiery red circle appeared opposite Mei Gan, and this change attracted everyone's attention. Then, Master Guyi, wearing a hood, passed through the fire circle and shuttled from the opposite space. Guyi calmly sat opposite Mei Gan, and the fire circle behind him slowly dissipated in the air. Seeing the appearance of Guyi, Steve knew who Mei Gan said he was treating. He gently placed a glass of red wine in front of Guyi. Thank you, Mr. Steve. Guyi took off the hood on his head, revealing a round bald head. So, Master Guyi came here to hold me accountable this time. Mei Gan looked at Guyi with a smile. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 170. I'm Not a Hero. Block. In the tavern, Ancient One and Mei Gan sat face to face. Anthony and his friends were sitting around. They were all curious about the Ancient One. Everyone was a little curious about the identity of the sudden appearance of Ancient One. Many just called him Master Ancient One. Could it be that this mysterious man who suddenly appeared was from Mei's hometown? After all, Mei is also a wizard. Is he here to ask for punishment because of what happened today? Mei, I came here today to say goodbye, said Ancient One with a smile. Then his fingers flashed with a fiery red light and drew a basketball-sized fire circle in front of Mei Gan. Mei Gan looked up and found that on the other side of the fire circle, there was a luxury car driving at high speed. The luxury car suddenly collided with the car next to it and then fell towards a cliff. It seems that the wizard has decided. Mei Gan looked at the car accident that appeared on the opposite side and Doctor Strange, whose hands had been disabled, and then looked at Master Ancient One with a little regret in his eyes and said, Mei, you should know that I have guarded the earth for more than 500 years. I'm tired, and it is time to take a good rest. Facing death, Master Ancient One faced it calmly. He had lived long enough since he came into contact with magic from his friend more than 500 years ago. More than 500 years have passed unknowingly. Hearing that she had guarded the earth for more than 500 years, everyone widened their eyes and looked at Ancient One in disbelief. There was actually someone who silently guarded the earth for more than 500 years. This was an extremely shocking news. If he did not lie, that is to say, the earth has always been in danger, but there is only this person who has blocked all those dangers. But can you believe what he said? Are you sure he can take over everything from you? Mei Gan said, while looking at Strange in the fire circle. Of course. Besides, don't you still have you on Earth? Ancient One said with a slight smile. Don't count on me, Master Ancient One. I'm not a hero. Mei Gan spread his hands to Ancient One and said. Ancient One was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said to Mei Gan, time will tell. Mei, you are the last line of defense of the Earth. As long as you are here, anyone who attacks the Earth will not have a good end. Everyone nodded in agreement. Indeed, if there is anyone on Earth who can protect the Earth from being invaded, it is only Mei. Master Ancient One, I know you are definitely not here to compliment me. Let's talk about business. Mei Gan waved his hand and said. To be honest, Mei Gan was a little proud to be complimented by an old man who has lived for more than 500 years, not to mention that the old man is also a powerful wizard. I hope you can help me look after him after I leave. After all, he probably hasn't grown up when I leave. Although the time stone shows that he will be a qualified successor, I'm still a little worried. Also, I hope you can get rid of Dormammu. In exchange, I will give you the Eye of Agamotto and the time stone inside. The Ancient One pointed to Strange in the fire circle, then formed a hand seal with both hands, and the Eye of Agamotto on him suddenly opened without revealing the time stone inside. Mei Gan did not answer immediately after hearing this. He pondered for a moment and then said, Master Ancient One is really good at calculating. If you give me the time stone, even if that guy invades the Earth, he will definitely look for me. You have collected both the Space Stone and the Reality Stone. Won't he come to you? The Ancient One said again. Mei Gan was speechless after hearing this. It seems that Dormammu can't run away. If that's the case, then kill him. Okay, I agree. Do you want me to kill him now? Mei Gan said. No, wait until Dormammu comes to Earth, then you can make a move. After saying this, Ancient One took off the Eye of Agamotto from his chest and handed it to Mei Gan. Mei Gan had no interest in the time stone. After just glancing at it, he put it into the system space and left it to collect dust with the other two stones. Since you have agreed, I will leave first. Perhaps this is the last time we meet. Goodbye, Mei. Thank you for your red wine, Mr. Steve. Ancient One finished the red wine on the table and finally said to Steve, then drew a circle of fire and left directly. Goodbye. Mei Gan whispered. Mei, Who was that just now? Tony looked at Mei Gan with curiosity and asked. Master Ancient One, the supreme sorcerer of the earth, lives in seclusion in Kamatage. He is the defender of the earth, Mei Gan explained. He really has protected the earth for more than 500 years, Steve asked in disbelief. Yes, he is a real hero. To be honest, I admire him very much, Mei Gan replied, after taking a sip of the red wine on the table. It turns out that we can live safely on Earth because someone is behind us to protect us from the wind and rain, Tony said with some emotion. It's good that you know. Mei Gan patted Tony's shoulder. Then what he just gave you is one of the 6 gems in the universe? Vision asked. Yes, it is one of the 6 gems, the time gem. After that, Mei Gan stood up and said to everyone, let's go back and rest. After that, he turned and walked towards the direction of the flower shop. Hey Mei, you haven't told us who the last one who will come to Earth is, Tony shouted at Mei Gan's back. You will know when they arrive. After that, Mei Gan waved to everyone. This guy uses this trick again. Do mysterious people like to say half and leave half? Tony said with some annoyance. Okay, it's late. It's time to go back and rest. Banner patted his butt and walked outside. Trident headquarters. Nick listened to Natasha's report on the news she heard in the tavern tonight and fell into deep thought. Is this true or false? Is it a play put on by Mei Gan and the so-called Ancient One? But he shouldn't be so bored to find someone to play this play. If this is true, then the last line of defense of the earth mentioned by the Ancient One, fortunately, he didn't directly turn against him in the afternoon. It seems that he should be more cautious in dealing with Mei, and he should still make friends with him. Did he say who the so-called Dormammu is? Nick asked Natasha opposite. No, he left before we asked him. He should know a lot of things we don't know. There may be many things hidden in the universe that we don't know, Natasha replied. I know, you find a chance to ask him. We still need to know more about the secrets of the universe, Nick Fury said to Natasha. Got it, sir. As soon as the voice fell, the signal was cut off. Putting down the phone in his hand, Nick Fury sat in his chair, frowning, and then, as if he had made up his mind, he pressed a button on the desk and said to the opposite side, Hill, please come over here. Chapter 171 Long Live Hydra. The next day, in Washington, on the ruins of the manor, hundreds of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents were holding guns and on guard, and on the side, there were more than a dozen researchers in white coats carefully collecting data on the green flames outside the ruins. They were all cautious, fearing to awaken the monsters deep in the ruins. And their leader was the village chief Carlson with a high hairline. The ruins were filled with smoke, and the scene in the pit could not be seen clearly, let alone the figure of Hellfire. In the center of the pit ruins, Hellfire was standing there motionless, like a burning stone, lifeless. Even so, the S.H.I.E.L.D. personnel on the periphery did not dare to step into the pit. You know, as long as you step in, you will be burned to ashes by the green flames, and no ashes will be left. This was something someone experienced personally at the beginning. The scene scared them terribly. In just a blink of an eye, the agent was gone. Not even ashes were left. So terrifying. Not far away, some people who lived not far away were looking at this place secretly, full of curiosity. Because of Mei Gan, S.H.I.E.L.D. did not treat this pit like Thor's hammer. Therefore, some people who were curious and not afraid of death would come here to play. Not far in front of the people, there were more than a dozen men and women looking at the front with curious eyes, and behind them, several people were holding palm computers in their hands, constantly calculating something. It's not clear in the research. It would be better if we could get closer so that we can get more data. In the middle, a bald middle-aged man with golden eyes said, with a regretful look on his face. It's impossible. This is the closest distance. If we get closer, S.H.I.E.L.D. will notice it. In front of him, a young and beautiful blonde woman whispered back. Okay. While the two were communicating, in the center of the pit ruins, the dark pupils of Hellfire suddenly lit up with green light. Then, its stone head turned in the direction of the dozen onlookers. Raw Hellfire roared towards that side. The roar was transmitted directly to the periphery of the ruins. The S.H.I.E.L.D. agents and researchers who were waiting in a serious battle were frightened, and they quickly dropped their research tools and retreated dozens of meters away. A moment later, A dull sound of footsteps sounded, and the onlookers and S.H.I.E.L.D. staff immediately saw that the stone man monster was walking towards this side. The huge body and the feet made of meteorites stepped on the ground of the ruin step by step, leaving clear footprints. In the footprints, there were still green flames. Hellfire walked to the periphery of the ruins, and the pupils with green light were staring at the dozen or so onlookers. Being stared at by a terrifying tall monster, the dozen or so onlookers were already trembling. They were afraid that the monster would beat them to death here if they didn't agree with it. Sir, what is a stone monster looking at those guys for? A S.H.I.E.L.D. agent looked at Hellfire and asked Carlson with a little panic in his heart. Let's take a look first. Carlson himself was confused how to answer him. As soon as Carlson finished speaking, the Hellfire turned to look at Carlson and the others. Then, Hellfire picked up a stone as big as a car from his side. With a slight movement of his hands, the stone burned with green flames. Hellfire turned his head again to look at the dozen onlookers, and then used both hands to throw the huge stone out. The huge boulder, burning with green flames, crossed the sky in front of it and hit the back of the dozen people. Boom, the huge boulder fell behind the dozen people, directly blocking their escape route. If they want to leave, they can only leave from Carlson's side, or go through the ruins, or go through the sea. Were we discovered, or is it going to drive all of us away directly? The blonde woman said in confusion. It should be driving all of us away. Look, he picked up another stone, said a tall man in the crowd. However, Hellfire threw the stone in his hand again, and the direction was still towards them. Then the escape route was blocked again. Hellfire stretched out a claw like an emerald and pointed at Carlson. Roar! Then there was a roar. Carlson was a little dazed. What does this mean? Is he calling me? Is this stone man so smart? Carlson pointed at himself and then looked at Hellfire with an inquiring look. Hellfire nodded. Looking at Hellfire's actions, Carlson walked towards him. After all, it was something summoned by Mei Gan, so it was normal to be a little different. But this guy shouldn't hurt my name. After all, I was also rescued by Mei. After waiting for Carlson to come forward, Hellfire squatted on the periphery of the ruins and looked at Carlson, who was leaning in front of him. Then he pointed at the dozen or so onlookers with the emerald-like claw. Then Hellfire made a move that made the dozen or so people feel new fear. Hellfire put one hand on his neck and then made a gesture of wiping his neck. Carlson was a little confused. Was he asking him to kill those guys? Why did the guy Mei summoned this time have such a strong desire to kill? Carlson was about to speak, but suddenly thought of something, so he asked in a low voice, are they problematic, or are they enemies? Hellfire nodded. Carlson immediately had a bad feeling. He quickly returned to the armed agents and ordered them, catch those guys. They are problematic. Got it, sir, said a guy who looked like a captain. Then he waved his hand, and the guys rushed towards the dozen people, pointing their guns at them. Damn it, we are exposed. Get going, run away, and everyone who can escape is one. Looking at the people who were about to surround them, the blonde woman said angrily. The dozen people drew a pistol from their waists and were about to pull the trigger. However, it was too late. Bang bang. Carlson was the first to react, raised his hand and shot one of them. Then, the group of agents pulled the trigger one after another, suppressing the group of guys and making them unable to move. Some of the unlucky ones were shot to death. Long live Hydra! Seeing that they had no way out, one of them shouted. Then he pounced on some bullets, but he was not hit by a single bullet. The guy was stunned on the spot. Long live Hydra! The Hydra personnel who could not escape quickly raised their guns and committed suicide on the spot. Outside the ruins, Hellfire's green pupils looked at the Hydra personnel who had been dealt with, turned around and walked towards the center of the ruins, leaving only a series of pictures stained with green flames. At this time, in the block, the reporters who had been surrounding the gate of the block had all left. Perhaps they received orders from someone. The happiest one was the little guy, who shouted that he wanted to find Nora, saying that he hadn't seen Sister Nora for several days. Mei Gan had to take her there and apologize. By the way. Chapter 172. The girl with glasses. On the next street, Mei Gan was taking the little guy to Uncle Long's residence. He knew what happened in Hellfire, but Mei Gan didn't pay much attention. Dad, can you buy me a bag of candy later? The little guy suddenly said. Dad doesn't dare to buy it for you. If your mother finds out, she will scold me again. Mei Gan said in a fearful manner. Oh. Dad, you don't look like a man at all. How can you be afraid of your wife? If it were me, I would slap her and let her see how powerful I am. The little guy clenched his fist and said in a vicious manner. Then why are you still afraid of your mother when you are so powerful? You can't even have a candy to eat. The little girl's face darkened when she heard that, and then she sighed and said, hey, who told me that I'm the youngest? It is wrong to hit adults. Grandpa Khan taught me that, so I asked you to be a man. Dad doesn't like what you said. How can dad not be a man? Dad has always had the final say at home. Come on, I was dazed last night and heard mom say that she was on top and asked you to go downstairs, and she also said that she was the queen. You should have some shame. You have lost all the face of a man and you still call your wife the queen. The little girl looked like she was disappointed with him, and she even shook her little head. Mei Gan's face turned red when she heard that. Were we talking so loudly last night? Even the next room heard it. It seems that I have to ask Audrey to speak softly next time. By the way, Audrey's queen outfit last night was really great. Ahem. Baby, don't tell anyone about these things, or your mother will definitely drive a spaceship away from the earth overnight. Mei Gan told the little guy. Although Audrey is usually very open and generous, she is actually a bit shy. She is very open in front of Mei Gan at night, but if it gets to other people's ears, she will probably be socially dead. Really? The little guy's eyes lit up when he heard it. Of course. Then I must tell everyone, and as long as I tell everyone, my mother will drive a spaceship to travel, and then there will be plenty of candies to eat. After the little guy finished speaking, he was still eager to try, and looked at the pedestrians around him with a pair of big eyes, trying to find someone to confide in. Dang ouch. Dad, what are you doing? The little guy pouted and said dissatisfiedly. I've told you not to tell anyone, but you're still not listening. Dad will buy you a lollipop later, but you have to rinse your mouth after eating it, otherwise your mom will nag you endlessly if she finds out. Mei Gan knocked on the little guy's head and said, I will definitely rinse my mouth. Dad is really the best. The little guy immediately smiled and nodded to Mei Gan in agreement. Stop flattering me. Mei Gan glared at the little guy. Not long after, the two arrived at Uncle Long's house. The door that was blown up yesterday has been repaired, and Uncle Long is playing on the grass at the door with Nora. Uncle Long. Mei Gan called to Uncle Long on the grass. Zio Khan, why are you here? Good morning, little sissy. After seeing Mei Gan, Uncle Long walked over with a smile and greeted the little guy next to him. Hello, Grandpa Long. The little guy greeted him obediently and ran towards Nora, shouting as he ran. Sister Nora. Little sissy Nora was also running over there, and the two whispered a few words, then ran back to the house hand in hand. Go in and have some tea. Uncle Long patted Mei Gan on the shoulder and said, Uncle Long, you see that the two of them have such a good relationship. You should move across the street from us. At least it's safer. Otherwise I'm really afraid that what happened yesterday will happen again next time. The two sat down in the living room, and Mei Gan advised Uncle Long. I talked to Gillian last night, and she has agreed to move over. No, I'm planning to talk to you about it and pick a house this afternoon. Originally, Uncle Long was a little moved when Norman said it last time, but Gillian was a little reluctant to give up her house, which she bought with her own money. If it weren't for what happened yesterday, Gillian might not have agreed. But for safety reasons, she still agreed. That's good. Uncle Khan will be very happy. Come over this afternoon and move in directly after you choose the house you want. There's no rush for money. You can give Tony the money after this house is sold. Anyway, he's a big dog owner and has no shortage of money. Mei Gan said happily. Then I'm serious. Uncle Long poured a cup of tea for Mei Gan and said jokingly, Uncle Long is actually not short of money. He has been an agent for so many years. Even his salary is several million, not to mention some grey income. The matter was settled, and the two chatted casually afterwards, watching the two little guys and a little pig playing in the living room. It was almost noon. Mei Gan said goodbye to Uncle Long with little sissy. After playing here for a whole morning, the two little guys were reluctant to leave. Fortunately, Uncle Long said that he would take Nora to play with her after lunch, and the two were happy. Mei Gan walked towards the flower shop with the little guy. When they walked out of the street where Uncle Long lived, a long-haired girl wearing black framed glasses, about 17 or 18 years old, walked towards Mei Gan. The girl had a pair of straight long legs, carrying 2 weights, and a pair of big purple eyes looking at Mei Gan and the other person expressionlessly. Mei Gan humbly moved to the left, but the girl followed Mei Gan to the side, and continued to block Mei Gan's way. Helplessly, Mei Gan had to move to the right again. The girl blocked Mei Gan again as if on purpose. Mei Gan was speechless. Are you blind? Girl, I moved aside first. Why are you still following me? Are you a fan who came here to ask for an autograph? Standing in place, Mei Gan did not make any movement this time. 1 second. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. Little girl, why don't you leave? Mei Gan said helplessly. I'm here to find you, sir, the girl said. The girl's voice was very nice, just like the call of a lark. Crisp and ethereal. Looking for him, Mei Gan was a little confused. Could it be that he was really a fan? The little fans nowadays are really crazy. They all followed here. Do you want an autograph? Take out your notebook. I'll sign one for you. Mei Gan was not surprised and said casually. After all, fans of celebrities before the time travel could pack themselves up and send themselves to the hotel. It was considered very self-controlled for them to come here to ask for autographs. I'm not here to ask for an autograph, and I'm not your fan. I have questions to ask you. The girl stared at Mei Gan with her beautiful eyes and said. Mei Gan frowned when he heard it, and then carefully looked at the beautiful girl in front of him. The mental power surged out and scanned her all over in an instant. I'll explain in advance that this scan is very serious, so don't think too much. It's like this. Other girl felt a huge mental power that saw through her, and her face turned red in an instant. She stared at Mei Gan angrily. In her heart, she had already given Mei Gan the title of a pervert. But Mei Gan didn't pay attention to this. He felt a little embarrassed. He guessed the identity of the girl in front of him. Chapter 173 The Star-Eating Daughter. On the road, pedestrians looked at the 3 people standing aside with some curiosity. Then they all showed contempt for Mei Gan. Don't blame them for misunderstanding. Anyone who sees a girl hugging her chest and staring at a grown man with a red face will misunderstand. Not to mention that the girl is so beautiful and the man is holding a little girl, but he is staring at the girl's belly. Mei Gan's eyes were fixed on the belly of the girl in front of him, or to be more precise, on the worm in her body. Ganata, maybe I should call you Carrie, the daughter of the devourer of planets, Mei Gan said slowly. You really know me, okay. You'd better call me Carrie. I don't want to bear the mark of that stupid foodie father. Hearing this, Carrie put down her hands hugging her chest, straightened her face, and looked at Mei Gan, resisting the urge to pounce on her and take a bite, swallowed her saliva and replied. Of course, otherwise do you think my mental power just now was playing tricks on you? And the worm in your body is really conspicuous, Mei Gan said speechlessly. Carrie's face turned red again because of Mei Gan's words, but this time it was shyness, not anger. Her appearance was simply tempting others to make mistakes. Fortunately, the person opposite was Mei Gan, otherwise it would be hard to say. Dad, who is this beautiful sister? The little guy licking the lollipop, who was concentrating on dealing with the lollipop in Mei Gan's arms, finally found Carrie opposite and asked curiously. Dad will tell you later. You should eat the lollipop. Dad, don't make a mistake. Don't learn from Grandpa Gan to be so fickle. You have Grandma Mei, and you still flirt with that ice-faced person, the little guy said, shaking Mei Gan's head with one hand. If you want to say who the little guy dislikes the most, Jessica is one of them. Who told Jessica to have no expression when talking to anyone except Uncle Gan. So the little guy doesn't like playing with Jessica. Actually, Jessica loves the little one very much. As long as she gets a good order, she will buy gifts for the little one. But you have to know that Jessica is a bit mentally challenged. What kind of gifts did she buy? A complete set of tests for the first grade of primary school, synchronized exercise books for the first grade of primary school, etc. I heard that they were brought from China. Just because she heard Uncle Gan say jokingly that many people in China gave such gifts, she took it seriously. The little one was only a few years old, but she pushed her into the fire pit. However, this suggestion was supported by Audrey, who now teaches the little one to study for an hour every night. This really annoyed the little one, so he didn't like Jessica. "What are you talking about? You little brat, you are so smart." Mei Gan gently knocked on little Sissy's head and said angrily. On the other side, Carrie looked at the two people who were playing with some envy. She had been separated from her father for a long time. When she was a child, she also played with her father like this. There is also a children's playground built by her father for her in her father's spaceship. I miss it so much. Okay, Star Devourer, what do you want to talk to me about? Tell me. Mei Gan was a little uncomfortable. There was nothing he could do. Who told him to kill someone's father? And this Carrie was a kind girl who had been eating those invaders on Earth. Even if she was hungry, she had never eaten a human. "Sir, have you seen my father?" "Some time ago, I sensed the presence of my father here," Carrie asked nervously. She stared at Mei Gan. Her father had always been disconnected on the quantum network communication. Mei Gan felt a little embarrassed to speak after hearing this. Should she tell someone directly that she had killed her father? I guess she would go berserk. Although Mei Gan was not afraid, he always felt that he could not do it to such a kind and beautiful girl. Star Devourer. I have seen it. I saw it when I went to play in the universe some time ago. Really? Is my father okay? Kara's eyes lit up after hearing this, and she said with some expectation, clenching her fists on her chest. How can I put it? He is very bad. He is probably too hungry. He left his spaceship and hurried to find food. We just exchanged a few words. Mei Gan had no choice but to make up a lie. Sure enough, this greedy and stupid dad is hungry again. Carrie said with some frustration, holding her head. That's not right. Why doesn't my dad swallow you with the power contained in your body? How can he bear it? Carrie, who was holding her head, suddenly thought of something and asked. Okay. I confess that your father wanted to swallow me, but he ran away after being beaten by me and even left his spaceship behind. Mei Gan's forehead was sweating. I was wondering if I could just slap this star-eating girl to death with a slap. Why is she so difficult to deal with? That's right, my stupid dad is a greedy guy. How could he not want such a powerful power in you? So you beat my stupid dad up. Carrie clapped her hands and asked with her head tilted. Yes, so you want to avenge your father? Mei Gan's face became a little serious, and he was ready to fight. Well fought. You should teach my stupid father a lesson. See if he dares to eat anything casually again, Carrie shouted happily. Mei Gan, who was preparing to fight, was stunned. This is a filial son. Why don't you play by the rules? Thank you, Mr. Magician. Can I get my father's spaceship back? Of course, I can exchange it with something, and I will never let you suffer in vain. Carrie bowed to Mei Gan and asked with some expectation. What do you want to exchange with me? Mei Gan thought for a while and answered. I have nothing now. Carrie was stunned. Only then did she realize that she had no money and no people, so how could she take back her father's spaceship? Then can Mr. Magician not lose the spaceship? I will come to exchange it with you after I get something of the same value, Carrie begged in a low voice. Okay, actually, I don't lack anything but a spaceship. If you can find a spaceship to come here, I will return your father's to you. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Magician, Carrie replied with a smile. For her, a sub-god level master, it is very easy to get a spaceship. If there is nothing else, I will go back first. If you find a spaceship, you can come to me, Mei Gan said to Carrie. Okay, Mr. Magician, sorry to bother you. Goodbye, Carrie said after raising one hand and waving at Mei Gan. It's okay, goodbye then. Mei Gan nodded and continued to walk towards the block. Goodbye, beautiful sister. On Mei Gan's shoulder, the little guy was waving his little hand and shouting to Carrie. Goodbye, cute little sister. Chapter 174 Venom. On the street, watching Mei Gan and the other two leaving, Carrie, the daughter of the Star Eater, walked forward happily with her hands behind her back, thinking about where to find food. After all, there was not much food she could find in this world. Oh, I forgot to ask Mr. Magician if he could help me solve the problem. Carrie slapped her forehead and said with some annoyance. She had already thought of the last question to ask, but who knew that she suddenly heard about her father and forgot it all of a sudden. Now she can only wait until she finds the spaceship before asking. She has to be patient for a while. She should find the spaceship quickly. Kerry thought about this and walked very fast. 2 days later. Night. Veterans Tavern in the neighborhood. Everyone was drinking in the tavern. This morning was the day when Uncle Long moved in, so everyone was holding a welcome party for Uncle Long. Our protagonist, Uncle Long, was drinking and chatting with Uncle Kyan and Norman. But Mei Gan was sitting at a table with Tony and Banner, whispering something. "You must help me. I'm going to propose to Potts in a few days. Also, May, you have to do a nice magic trick," Tony said in a low voice to Mei Gan and others. "Tony, you finally decided to propose to Potts. The magic is fine. You will definitely be satisfied," Mei Gan said to Potts, who was chatting with Audrey and Natasha. "It shouldn't be too late now, right?" Tony said seriously. "It's not too late. I think Potts will be very happy then." Mei Gan blinked at Tony. Tony may have thought of Potts' excited expression that day and laughed. "Tony, if you want to propose, just ask May for help. What's the point of asking us? Do you want me to release the Hulk to cheer you up?" Banner said speechlessly. "I just wanted to tell you about the plan and let you know if there's anything we haven't prepared yet. It's no use telling us. None of us have proposed yet." "That's right. Just go directly to George and May." Johnny agreed with Banner's point of view. He is still worried about how to propose to Nadia. After all, they live together, and the little guy Danny also recognizes him. Well, he also has a first love, but he hasn't seen her for several years, and he doesn't know how she is doing. At the beginning, he was thinking of eloping with her. "You two are unreliable. May is better." Tony rolled his eyes at the two of them. "Just show us an example." "May has already shown us an example," Johnny said, patting Tony on the shoulder. "Tony, where is the place you chose to propose?" Mei Gan asked Tony, after taking a sip of wine. "It's in the sea, over there on my yacht. I'll ask people to prepare in advance on that day, and we'll go out to sea to fish. It's just right that I can propose to you in the evening." "Hey, what are you guys whispering about here?" Just then, Natasha walked up to the side of the few people and asked with some confusion. "This is a secret between us men. Can I tell you?" Banner said to Natasha very impolitely. Natasha rolled her sexy eyes and turned away. "Banner, you were a real man just now, but I guess you'll have a hard time when you go back later." Mei Gan glanced at Betty and the others. Natasha actually went to find Betty. Banner was a little dumbfounded. "Women are unreasonable. Banner, you have to get used to it." Johnny patted Banner on the shoulder and said. Banner had a constipated expression on his face. Just as everyone was chatting here, on the seashore next to a pier in the Big Apple, a tall monster with a black body rushed out of the sea, like a black rubber body, which could grow or grow. Those big black eyes and a big mouth full of sharp teeth. The black monster fell onto the dock with a puff. Then, the monster's black rubber-like skin gradually faded away, and soon, a man in a grey shirt was revealed. The black rubber attracted into the man's body. The man looked quite embarrassed. His shirt was completely wet, and his chin was full of beard. He looked a little depressed, leaning against the dock, looking at the sea with his eyes blankly. The man didn't notice that above him, a woman in a strange purple outfit was floating. The woman licked her lips as she looked at Eddie below, and a drop of transparent saliva accidentally fell. The purple eyes looking at the man were full of greed. The woman was Carrie, the daughter of the Star Eater, who was looking for food everywhere. The alien creature inside this guy seems to be delicious. Carrie wiped the corner of her mouth and said greedily. "But the alien is hiding in this guy's body. How can we force him out?" Carrie was a little troubled. She finally found a food that seemed delicious, but she couldn't eat it. "Isn't it just to make people greedy? You can't just eat this human. This won't work." Scratching the helmet on her head, Carrie was a little impatient. If she didn't find the food, it would be fine. At least she could suppress the hunger in her body. Now the food is right in front of her. While Carrie was in trouble, the man had stood up and walked out. When the family saw that the food was going to leave, they hurriedly followed closely in the air. They had to follow this guy first. When the alien came out, Carrie could directly swallow the food. not to mention Carrie and the other person who were following the man. In the physical therapy center, Mei Gan was sitting in the living room with Nick Fury. On their table was the coffee brewed by Kato. The physical therapy center was redecorated yesterday, and Uncle Kyan has started business at the back door today. Tell me, Nick, why did you come to see me? Mei Gan took a sip of coffee and asked Nick. I came here to know something. Mei, I hope you can tell me the truth. Nick said softly, with no expression on his dark face. Ask. While I'm in a good mood now. I want to know who the Ancient One was last night, and who the he you mentioned is. Nick originally just wanted to ask Natasha to find out from Mei Gan, but he always felt that there was some crisis in his heart, and he didn't want to be unprepared at the time, so he had to come here himself and ask Mei Gan about this matter. Didn't Natasha tell you? The Ancient One, the Supreme Mage of the Earth, the hero who has guarded the Earth for more than 500 years. Mei Gan spread his hands and said, I want to know the detailed information of their camouflage. These 2 days I asked people to go there to inquire, but no one knows this place at all. Nick pinched his forehead with a headache. If the Ancient One doesn't want you to know, you won't be able to find camouflage. In fact, they also have a temple in the Big Apple, but you just can't find it. In addition to the Big Apple, they also set up temples in Hong Kong and London, and the temples are set up to better protect the Earth. Mei Gan finished speaking and drank the coffee in the cup. Nick's face tightened when he heard it. He didn't expect that there was such an organization in the Big Apple, but he never knew about it. Where is the address of the temple? Can you tell me? Nick asked with some expectation. Mei Gan shook his head and said, it's useless for me to tell you, Nick, you can't see it at all. Okay. Then, who is the he you are talking about? Nick put aside this question and asked the question he wanted to ask the most this time. After all, he knew from Natasha that the he Mei Gan mentioned would come to the Earth at that time, and his goal was the gems collected by Mei Gan. His name is Thanos. People in the universe call him Thanos. He is a member of the Eternal Clan born on Titan. He is the overlord of the universe, a ruthless, cruel, and deadly guy. Mei Gan said calmly. It was as if he was talking about cats and dogs. The overlord of the universe. Nick frowned and murmured. His heart was full of shock. Why would a universe overlord target their Earth just because of those so-called gems? It seems that it is time to call Carol back. We can't let the guy on the opposite side take action every time. We have to show our own muscles when necessary. Although Carol may not be able to beat the guy in front of him, why does he want the gems in your hand? What are their uses, Mei? Nick asked. The guy Thanos wants the gems because he wants to please a god. As for which god it is, Steve and the others have seen it. The guy who resurrected people twice. Death. Mei Gan answered Nick's question directly tonight without hiding anything. The reason was simple. He wanted to see how far Nick and the others would fight with the purple potato spirit if he didn't take action. Now that he knew about Thanos' existence. Is he stronger than you, Mei? Nick asked Mei Gan with a little trepidation. What a joke. You use that purple potato spirit to compete with me. Even if he wears the Infinity Gauntlet, I can beat him to pieces. Mei Gan said a little unhappy. How could that purple potato spirit compare with himself? That's good. But why is it called Thanos Purple Potato Spirit? Nick was relieved. At least he still had a guy to back him up, but he didn't know how much money he would have to pay to this guy to make him take action. Because he is all purple. Okay, no problem. I'm going to go back to sleep now. Mei Gan's eyes were a little anxious. He just received a message that the Gao system was finally upgraded. I don't know what the Gao system will look like after the upgrade. He just wanted to run back and study it carefully. Okay, it's fine. I'll go back first. Thank you very much for telling me these things tonight. Nick finished his coffee, stood up and said, it doesn't matter if you know it. It would be better if you can solve it yourself. Then I can watch the show leisurely. Mei Gan shrugged and said. Then, Mei Gan no longer paid attention to Nick and turned to walk towards the door. He didn't want to drink anymore and was anxious to go back to see what the Gao system looked like after the upgrade. After Nick came out, Mei Gan closed the door of the physiotherapy center and hurried to the flower shop. Chapter 175 System Upgrade. Inside the flower shop, Mei Gan was lying on the sofa in the flower shop. Under the sofa, an ugly ball of meat was curled up and sleeping soundly. That's right, it was a red dragon that hadn't appeared for a long time. That guy is now as fat as a pig. He is lazy and gluttonous. Porcupine feels hurt by saying this. After all, he is very diligent. Everyone is helpless with this guy. The little chicken is much better than this red dragon. Although the little chicken is a little gluttonous, at least that guy likes to move around. He runs around the streets when he has nothing to do. He often turns into an ostrich and carries the little guy and Nora around the streets. The little chicken now finally feels that he has defeated the red dragon's red lizard. After all, the red lizard is now useless. Its current target is Natasha, that woman. Yes, it is Natasha, because it has felt several times that the bad woman's eyes looking at its eldest brother are a little different. Just like the way the sister-in-law looked at the eldest brother before, the greedy look seemed to want to eat up the eldest brother directly. It didn't dare to believe its eldest brother, because the eldest brother had a criminal record and was taken down by the sister-in-law in a few days. If it was this woman, I dare not think about it. Having a sister-in-law is enough, and the little chicken doesn't want another one. But I can't make a move directly, otherwise the little chicken will definitely turn into a phoenix and give Natasha, the bad woman, a bite of its flame. Fortunately, the little chicken doesn't know that there is a silly and beautiful woman in the kingdom of death who is plotting against Mei Gan. Otherwise the little chicken may rush into the kingdom of death and burn death. On the sofa, Mei Gan excitedly opened the system interface. The progress bar has disappeared, and the ugly turntable still appears on the interface. Gan, isn't there any difference between upgrading and not upgrading? Mei Gan was dumbfounded. He felt that there was no change when he saw the turntable. Oh, no, there is still a change. Mei Gan looked at the prizes on the turntable. The potions and the props were still there, and the skills were still there, but not many, just 2, and it was hard to tell what the skills were, because there was a gift bag-like logo. There was only 4 small words written next to it, random skills. Isn't this like opening a blind box? And in the turntable, there were many new items. First, there were 3 red items, which were particularly conspicuous. At a glance, people could notice that the 3 red items were all marked with a book-like logo. But this time there was an introduction. Master level direct access to the principles of potions making. Master level direct access to the equipment refining. Master level direct access to the magic scroll making. Oh my god, this is a direct benefit. It's just telling me how to make these props and items myself. Isn't it a way to get rich if I draw them? Mei Gan was excited. If he could make a large number of these props, he could directly equip a large army, although it would be useless. But knowing how to make and extracting are different. But why is this material not available on Earth? This is embarrassing. What's the point of learning it? Because the other prizes are all materials for making potions, refining equipment, and making scrolls. Mei Gan wanted to curse. Moreover, the upgraded system lottery is not a daily welfare lottery, but a lottery with US dollars. What do you want US dollars for a system like you? You want 100,000 US dollars for a lottery. You are worse than a goose. It is not easy for me to save some US dollars. Now even your system is trying to cheat me. Where is my kind, good, and generous system? No, I will never draw. This is my coffin book. Mei Gan decided that, even if he jumped from the 2nd floor of the flower shop, even if he was poor, he would not draw the lottery. It was so funny. He would not die if he jumped from the 2nd floor, and he would not have money to draw the lottery if he was poor. But Mei Gan was really coveting the 3 master level technical books. This system directly tried these skills. Just try it once. Mei Gan couldn't help but click on the turntable. Just at this moment, Mei Gan's card number had 100,000 US dollars missing. Mei Gan just threw the decision behind his mind. Sure enough, both men and women are fickle. On the system interface, the turntable suddenly spun quickly. Stop. As Mei Gan's voice fell, the turntable began to slow down slowly. Finally, the turntable slowly stopped, and the arrow on the turntable slowly pointed to a grid with 4 big characters. Mei Gan looked up and saw the 4 big characters. Thank you for your patronage. Damn, this system is better not to upgrade. There are so many tricks after upgrading, and there are times when there is no money. My $100,000 is not wasted. I don't accept it. Why is it like this? System, if you are kidnapped, give me a prompt quickly so that I can save you. If Mei Gan had known that the system would be like this, he would never upgrade. The old version of the system is still cute, and this new system is not cute at all. Not only is he greedy for money, but he is also so mean. For a little money, he didn't let me win directly, but asked me to draw several more times. It's too dark. Mei Gan was considering whether to try again. At least he had to win a prize to comfort himself. Thinking of this, Mei Gan clicked the turntable in front of him again. After that, Mei Gan's mobile phone sounded, and he knew it was the reminder sound of deduction without looking. The turntable on the interface shook, and then it turned wildly like a wild horse. Stop. The turntable turned slowly, and then Mei Gan stared at the pointer. He was afraid that he would see the words "thank you for your patronage" again. After a few breaths, the turntable slowly stopped, and a grid appeared under the pointer. The special effect of 50 cents appeared again, which made Mei Gan feel quite familiar. After all, he had drawn prizes for 5 or 6 consecutive years. After the special effect of 50 cents disappeared, Mei Gan looked up and saw a book appeared in front of him. It was one of those edible books, and it was a power book that was difficult to draw, and it was a +2 book. Although it was difficult to draw a +2 book, Mei Gan was still a little disappointed because he wanted to draw those production knowledge. Put the power book into the system space. Mei Gan gritted his teeth and drew 10 times in a row. $1 million was gone just like that. Mei Gan looked at the spinning turntable with some distress. 100,000 at a time. He didn't know how many times his hundreds of millions of dollars could withstand him. Stop. Mei Gan swallowed his saliva and looked at the interface nervously. 4 50-cent special effects bloomed on the interface. It seemed that 4 of the 10 consecutive draws were hit. When the special effects disappeared, Mei Gan looked over with wide eyes. He saw 4 things floating on the interface. A bottle of red potion. Glowing red. Mei Gan knew at a glance that it was an invincible potion. A scroll glowing green. Beast scroll. Increasing attack power. A resurrection cross that can revive 3 times. This is a good thing, but Mei Gan himself doesn't need it. He has the rebirth skill of Minotaur. The last one is a red war drum, which increases attack power. Damn, I still didn't draw it. Forget it. Mei Gan walked to the second floor with some frustration. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.